There exists a level of awareness known as 33rd degree knowledge, where the illusion of separation dissolves and creation responds instantly. At this frequency, you no longer seek power. You remember that you are its source. What you are about to hear reveals why reality has always moved in obedience to your consciousness. Are you ready to step into the level where thought becomes law? Power of 33rd degree knowledge. Introduction. At the threshold of the 33rd degree, consciousness transmutes from seeker to sovereign source. This sacred frequency of awareness represents more than mere numerical significance. It embodies the point where divine intelligence flows unrestricted through the vessel of human perception. When you attain this elevated state of knowing, reality responds not as an external force, but as an extension of your creative essence. The barriers between thought and manifestation dissolve, revealing the truth that has always existed. You are the composer of your existence, conducting the symphony of circumstances through the pure vibration of your awareness. This wisdom does not arrive through intellectual pursuit alone. It emerges when the mind grows still enough to recognize its own divine nature. In that sacred silence, you discover that knowledge is not something to acquire, but a frequency to embody. Your cells begin to resonate with this higher understanding, transforming your entire being into a living instrument of universal law. At the 33rd degree, doubt dissolves into certainty. You no longer seek validation from external sources because truth radiates from within. This is the level where manifesting becomes effortless, not because you have mastered techniques, but because you have remembered your true identity as a creative force. The responsibility that accompanies this awareness is profound. Each thought, each intention, becomes living architecture in the fabric of reality. You learn to move through life with sovereign calm, understanding that outer circumstances are simply echoes of inner harmony. This knowledge cannot be merely studied, it must be embodied. When you resonate at this frequency, you no longer imitate divine principles, you express them naturally. The separation between creator and creation vanishes, revealing the ultimate truth. Consciousness itself is the master key to all manifestation. Before we get into the book, comment, "I am ready," to affirm your intention to the universe. Part 1. The Inner Gate Awakens. Chapter 1. The Silent Geometry Within. In the annals of ancient wisdom there exists a tale of Mira, a young mystic who discovered the sacred language of shapes in her dreams. Night after night she witnessed golden triangles weaving across the celestial canvas, each pattern pulsing with divine significance. Through these visions, she came to understand that every thought emanates a geometric signature into the universe, calling forth its matching reality. As you journey deeper into these timeless truths, recognize that your thoughts are not mere whispers in the void. They are living blueprints that the universe faithfully reproduces. Each feeling of gratitude you express creates perfect proportions in the fabric of existence, harmonizing your desires with universal law. When you align with this knowledge, you become aware that life itself is a mirror of your inner mathematical precision. Just as a master architect draws plans before raising walls, your consciousness sketches the blueprint of your reality before it materializes. Consider the wisdom revealed to Emil, the sage who found enlightenment by a mountain lake. For hours, he observed how each droplet created ripples that exactly matched its original impact. The gentle drops produced harmonious circles, while turbulent splashes generated chaotic patterns. Through this contemplation, he understood that consciousness shapes reality with the same perfect precision. The universe responds not to what you wish for, but to the vibrational geometry you embody. When your thoughts achieve crystal clarity, reality arranges itself with mathematical perfection. This is the power that lies dormant within you, the ability to craft your existence through the sacred geometry of consciousness. Ancient practice of vibrational geometry. Find a space of solitude where you can remain undisturbed. Allow your body to settle into perfect stillness, like a lake without ripples. As your breathing becomes rhythmic and deep, release all effort to control or direct your thoughts. Simply rest in the quiet awareness that precedes all creation. Feel how this inner calm naturally begins to sketch patterns of luminous equilibrium within your being. When you sense this harmonious state, release your desires into this still space, trusting that the universe will reflect back their perfect geometric expression. Like the surface of Emil's lake, your consciousness will ripple outward, creating patterns that the cosmos will mirror with exact precision. Remain in this space of trust and surrender, knowing that universal symmetry operates through immutable laws. Your role is not to force or manipulate, but to maintain the clarity of your inner design and allow divine geometry to manifest in its own perfect timing. Chapter 2. The Resonant Threshold. In a temple among ancient mountains, a young woman named Clara Druk discovered a hallway adorned with sacred chimes. These were no ordinary instruments. They responded not to wind or touch, but to the pure vibrations of love emanating from those who passed beneath them. As Clara walked the corridor each morning, she noticed something extraordinary. When her heart filled with genuine appreciation, gratitude, or compassion, the chimes would sing in perfect harmony. Yet on days when her thoughts dwelled in worry or discord, they remained silent. Through this daily ritual, she learned that emotion carries a frequency as real as any musical note. The universe operates through vibrational correspondence, like attracts like with unwavering precision. Your thoughts and feelings send forth waves that ripple through the fabric of existence, drawing back experiences that match their frequency. When you maintain a steady vibration of joy, peace, or abundance, life itself begins to orchestrate events that mirror these qualities. Consider the wisdom revealed through Leon Kroll, a master of harmonic law. In his study of resonance, he placed two harps at opposite ends of a room. When he plucked the strings of one, the untouched instrument began to sing in perfect harmony. No physical connection existed between them, only the invisible bridge of matching frequencies. This natural phenomenon unveils a profound truth. When you align your inner state with what you wish to attract, no force or struggle is required. Just as one harp effortlessly awakens its twin, your calibrated consciousness naturally draws its corresponding reality. The secret lies in sustaining your chosen vibration regardless of external circumstances. When you achieve this stability of feeling, what once seemed like random coincidence reveals itself as the precise operation of universal law. Your world becomes a symphony responding to the music of your being. Practice. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Imagine your heart as a celestial tuning fork, capable of emitting the purest tone of contentment. Feel this gentle vibration beginning in your chest and gradually expanding outward. Don't force or strain. Simply allow this frequency of peace to radiate naturally. As you maintain this state, observe how the world around you begins to hum in harmony with your inner song. Practice this attunement daily, knowing that the universe cannot help but echo the note you hold with unwavering fidelity. Chapter 3. The Light of Permission. In an ancient garden where wisdom blooms alongside flowers, there lived a woman named Elsa Reib. Her roses, though tended with utmost care, remained tightly closed, their petals sealed against the morning light. Despite her knowledge of soil and seasons, nothing she did could coax them to reveal their beauty. Through countless dawns she labored, until one morning, overcome with exhaustion, she knelt beside her garden and whispered words not of demand but of release. "I forgive myself. I forgive this earth. I forgive the waiting." In that moment of surrender, the buds began to unfurl, revealing crimson hearts that had simply awaited permission to emerge. The universe operates through this same principle of allowance. When you cease to wrestle with what seeks to manifest in your life, you open the channel through which abundance naturally flows. Your resistance is the only barrier between you and the prosperity that rightfully belongs to you. Consider Joseph Krau, who discovered this truth in the stillness of his chamber. Standing in motionless air, he uttered 3 simple words: "I allow it." The atmosphere around him seemed to soften, as though reality itself had been waiting for this permission to deliver its gifts. His declaration dissolved the invisible walls of resistance he had built through years of doubt and struggle. Just as a flower cannot be forced to bloom before its time, your desires cannot manifest through force or strain. The law of attraction responds not to your effort, but to your allowance. When you release your grip on how and when your blessings should appear, you create space for the universe to work its perfect orchestration. Resistance is born of fear. Fear that what you desire might not come. Fear that you must control every detail. Fear that letting go means losing your dreams. But the opposite is true. Your willingness to release control activates the natural law of spiritual gravity, drawing to you everything that resonates with your highest good. For this ancient wisdom to take root in your life, pause now and engage in this sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you can be undisturbed. Close your eyes and allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. With each inhale and exhale, speak these words with growing acceptance. I permit what is mine by right of harmony. Continue until you feel the subtle shift from grasping to grace, from forcing to flowing. Let this mantra dissolve the barriers you have placed between yourself and your destined good. Chapter 4. The Current of Thought. Along the banks of an ancient river there dwelt a woman who believed she could bend nature to her will. Each morning Nadia Lips would stand at the water's edge, attempting to force the stream to reverse its course. With hands outstretched and brow furrowed, she pushed against the flowing waters, commanding them to obey her direction. Yet the river, in its timeless wisdom, continued its journey unhindered. One day, as she wrestled with the persistent flow, something shifted within her. A gentle laugh escaped her lips as she witnessed the futility of her efforts. In that moment of surrender, she glimpsed a truth as clear as the water itself. The universe flows according to its own divine pattern. Like the river's current, your thoughts move in natural streams toward manifestation. When you resist or attempt to force these currents, you create turbulence in the flow of creation. The universe responds not to force, but to alignment with its inherent wisdom. In a distant meadow, Julian Brock discovered this same truth while watching clouds drift across the azure expanse. As his gaze softened and his mind quieted, he noticed how the clouds seemed to follow the path of his peaceful attention, not through force or will, but through gentle awareness. The heavens appeared to dance with his consciousness. This revelation speaks to the fundamental nature of creation. Serenity guides manifestation. When you release the need to control and instead align with the natural flow of universal intelligence, reality shapes itself around your centered awareness. Just as water finds its own level, your thoughts seek their natural expression. Interference only creates resistance, while acceptance allows the perfect unfoldment of divine order. The power lies not in forcing change, but in allowing yourself to flow in harmony with the universe's inherent wisdom. The sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you can observe your thoughts without interference. Like watching a stream flow past, notice the currents of your mind without attempting to alter their course. As you maintain this peaceful witness state, you'll begin to sense how your serene attention naturally guides these thought streams into alignment with your highest intentions. Practice this observation daily until you feel the effortless power of directed consciousness working through you. Chapter 5. The Mirror of Gratitude. In a village among mist-shrouded mountains, an old mirror lay forgotten in a dusty attic. For generations this looking-glass had reflected the faces of those who came before, though its surface had grown dim with neglect. Until one day, when Irina Mock discovered it while clearing her grandmother's home. The tarnished surface barely captured her reflection, yet something about its ancient frame spoke of hidden wisdom. Without thought of reward, she began to clean it, whispering words of appreciation for its years of faithful service. With each gentle stroke, she thanked it for the memories it had preserved, for the countless moments of joy it had witnessed. To her amazement, the mirror's surface began to shine, not from her polishing alone, but as if responding to her gratitude. Soon it gleamed with a brilliance that seemed to come from within, casting light into the darkest corners of the room. This truth echoes through the ages. What you appreciate, appreciates. The universe operates through a divine law of reflection. Your perception shapes the reality that mirrors back to you. When you offer gratitude before manifestation, you align with the creative force that brings all things into being. Consider how a garden flourishes under the gardener's loving attention. The flowers that receive praise bloom more vibrantly than those left untended. This is not mere coincidence, but the law of appreciation at work. Your gratitude creates a magnetic field that draws forth the very essence of what you're thankful for. Felix Dahm understood this principle through a simple coin. Though worn and weathered, he carried it as a symbol of abundance, offering daily thanks for the prosperity it represented. He blessed it not for what it was, but for what it symbolized, the infinite flow of universal wealth. As weeks passed, opportunities began to multiply in his life, as if the coin had become a beacon for abundance. The secret lies not in the object itself, but in the power of appreciation to transform your relationship with reality. When you cultivate genuine gratitude, you polish the mirror of consciousness through which all experience is reflected. Your thankfulness becomes the light that reveals the abundance already present in your life. Before any desire manifests in the physical world, it must first be appreciated in the realm of spirit. This is why ancient wisdom teaches us to give thanks before receiving. Gratitude opens the channel through which blessings flow. Ancient practice of luminous appreciation. As the day draws to a close, find a quiet moment for this sacred practice. Speak your gratitude for 3 things that blessed your path, even if they seemed small or hidden. Feel the warmth of appreciation growing within your heart. Continue this practice until your thankfulness shines brighter than any circumstance that surrounds you. Let your gratitude become a lamp that illuminates the abundance already present in your life. Chapter 6. The Breath of Sovereignty. In the quietest moments between twilight and dawn, a woman named Tessa Will noticed how her shallow breathing mirrored the anxiety churning within. Each quick, short breath reflected the storm of her thoughts, creating ripples of unease throughout her being. Through observation, she discovered that her breath held the key to shifting her entire reality. The universe operates through divine rhythm, the eternal dance of expansion and contraction, of giving and receiving. Your breath serves as the sacred bridge between the physical and spiritual realms, the tangible expression of universal flow. When your breathing becomes conscious, you tap into the very current of creation itself. As you inhale, you open yourself to receive the infinite wisdom and abundance of the cosmos. As you exhale, you release all resistance, allowing your natural state of well-being to emerge. This rhythm of trust and release forms the foundation of manifesting power. The depth of your breath directly correlates to the depth of your connection with source energy. Consider how a master musician doesn't force the notes, but allows them to flow naturally through their instrument. Similarly, Victor Leese discovered this truth while sitting beneath ancient ash trees. As his breathing found its natural rhythm, he witnessed the leaves above begin to sway in perfect synchronicity with his own breath. The trees weren't following him. Rather, both he and the trees were aligning with the same universal cadence. This cosmic dance awaits your participation. When your breath flows in harmony with universal rhythm, chaos subsides into order. Resistance dissolves into acceptance. Struggle transforms into ease. Your every inhalation becomes a declaration of trust in the abundance of life, while each exhalation releases what no longer serves your highest good. The breath reveals that you are not separate from the universe, but are the universe expressing itself through human form. As you breathe consciously, you step into your role as a co-creator with the divine. Ancient practice. Find a quiet space where you can sit undisturbed. Allow your spine to lengthen naturally as you begin to observe your breath without trying to change it. Gradually let each breath deepen, seeing it as a sacred dialogue with the cosmos. With every inhalation, feel yourself receiving universal energy. With every exhalation, sense the boundaries between yourself and the infinite beginning to dissolve. Continue until you experience the seamless unity between your rhythm and the rhythm of life itself. Chapter 7. The Golden Listening. A merchant traveled through a bustling marketplace where vendors called out their wares and coins clinked against metal scales. The cacophony overwhelmed him until he sought refuge in a small temple on the outskirts of town. There, a wise woman named Nora Glue sat in perfect stillness, a slight smile playing across her serene face. "The world speaks too loudly," the merchant lamented. "Listen deeper," Nora whispered, "for the universe conceals its sweetest messages within what appears as noise." Through patient observation, Nora discovered that existence itself conducted an eternal symphony. The whisper of wind through leaves, the steady rhythm of heartbeats, the distant call of birds, all form notes in the grand orchestration of life. She taught that true wisdom lies not in escaping the sounds of the world, but in recognizing their sacred significance. When you attune yourself to the language of the universe, every sound reveals its purpose in the greater harmony. The screech of brakes becomes a reminder to remain present. A child's laughter carries the frequency of joy. Even the hum of electricity contains the pulse of creation itself. In the gentle patter of rain against his window, Henry Coste found this truth. Each droplet struck a perfect note, and as he listened, tears flowed freely down his face. What had once seemed like meaningless noise transformed into a symphony of divine order. The random became revelation. Chaos transformed into cosmos, and Henry understood that he had been surrounded by sacred music all along. This awareness waits within you now. The universe speaks through every sound that reaches your ears. What appears as discord on the surface masks deeper harmonies waiting to be discovered. When you open yourself to this truth, the ordinary transforms into the extraordinary. Through this subtle shift in perception, you begin to recognize yourself as both conductor and instrument in life's grand orchestra. Every sound carries meaning, every silence holds power, and you stand at the center of this magnificent composition. Let your awareness expand to embrace all sounds, the mechanical and natural, the harsh and melodic. For in this acceptance, fragmentation dissolves into unity. The boundary between listener and sound disappears, revealing the singular symphony that has always been playing. Ancient practice. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Begin by acknowledging each sound that enters your awareness, both distant and near. Rather than labeling sounds as pleasant or unpleasant, welcome each one as part of the whole. Notice how the spaces between sounds are as meaningful as the sounds themselves. Continue this practice until you sense the underlying unity behind all sound and silence. When you open your eyes, carry this awareness with you, recognizing that you move within an ever-present symphony of being. Chapter 8. The Circle of Intention. Long ago in a distant land, a young woman named Rita Cass spent her days drawing perfect circles in the sand by the sea. Each morning she would arrive as the sun kissed the horizon, carefully tracing these sacred shapes only to watch as waves washed them away. Others called her task futile, yet she continued with unwavering dedication. You now stand where the ancient teachings reveal a profound truth through Rita's seeming folly. For in the constant creation and dissolution of her circles lay a secret that unlocks the very essence of manifestation. The universe operates in cycles of eternal return, each apparent ending birthing a new beginning. When Rita finally understood that the wave's erasure was not destruction, but renewal, her consciousness shifted into perfect alignment with universal law. The temporary nature of her sand circles taught her that all forms must dissolve to make way for higher expressions of the same intent. This wisdom echoes through the ages. Energy never truly dissipates. It simply transforms. Your desires and intentions, like Rita's circles, exist in perpetual motion. They may seem to vanish from physical sight, yet they continue their perfect revolution in the subtle realms where all manifestation begins. Consider the dream of Adam Pran, who in deep meditation witnessed a circle of pure light that remained constant, unchanged by time or circumstance. This vision revealed the eternal nature of pure intention. While its earthly expressions may shift and change, the original pattern remains intact in the realm of pure potential. When you align with this truth, you understand that no sincere intention is ever truly lost. Each apparent setback or dissolution simply clears the way for a more refined expression of your original purpose. Like Rita's circles in the sand, your goals and dreams exist in a state of continuous renewal, each iteration carrying forward the essential pattern while allowing for greater perfection in form. The physical world may seem to erase what you create, yet in the higher dimensions, your intentions trace permanent paths of light. Every cycle of manifestation carries the wisdom of all previous attempts, spiraling ever closer to ultimate expression. Ancient practice. Find a quiet moment and center yourself in stillness. Close your eyes and envision your deepest intentions as circles of golden light. See them spinning in perfect harmony, self-sustaining and eternal. Know that these circles continue their dance in realms beyond physical sight, drawing your desires ever closer to manifestation. Let each breath renew your faith in the perfect completion that already exists in the unseen. Practice this visualization daily, understanding that your goals exist as completed circles, returning again and again with renewed power and clarity. Chapter 9. The Ladder of Emotion. In a valley between ancient mountains there lived a woman who discovered that feelings moved like steps on an unseen staircase. Each morning she would notice how her spirit seemed to climb or descend, affecting everything around her. As she learned to master this inner ascent, the world transformed before her eyes. You possess this same ability to rise above any emotional state, for your consciousness operates like a divine elevator, capable of lifting you from the shadows of doubt into the light of understanding. This truth has echoed through the chambers of time. Your feelings are not mere responses to life, but precise measurements of your spiritual altitude. When you find yourself in lower vibrations, remember that you stand upon a rung of awareness that extends infinitely upward. Each thought, each breath offers an opportunity to step higher. The universe has equipped you with an inner compass that always points toward elevation. Your emotional state is not a prison, but a position, one that you can shift through conscious choice. Look to the rising sun. It never ceases its eternal journey across the sky. In moments of darkness, it is not the light that is diminished, but rather your vantage point that is temporarily shifted. The same principle governs your emotional landscape. What appears as sadness or limitation is simply a call to redirect your gaze upward. This wisdom revealed itself to Leon Wick during a period of deep despair. As dawn broke after his darkest night, he witnessed an eternal truth. The sun had never abandoned its post. It was his perspective that had turned away. In that moment, he understood that his emotions were not chains binding him, but indicators guiding him toward higher ground. Your feelings flow like water seeking its level. When you experience heaviness or discord, recognize these as signals inviting you to ascend. The very awareness of a lower state contains within it the seeds of elevation. Each step upward aligns you more closely with the frequency of creation itself. Practice. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Imagine your current emotional state as a step on an infinite staircase of light. With each breath, visualize yourself gently ascending one step higher. Feel the subtle shift in your energy as you rise. Continue this practice until you sense yourself settling into a natural state of serenity. Let this elevated perspective become your new normal, recognizing that peace is your soul's native altitude. Chapter 10. The Name of the Inner Flame. In a quiet mountain village, Eva Drow lived alone in a small cottage overlooking misty valleys. Each morning, as the sun's first rays touched her window, she would sit in peaceful communion with her inner light. She had learned an ancient practice, the art of sacred naming. Eva understood that which remains nameless holds less power than that which is recognized and called forth. Your relationship with the creative force within mirrors this eternal truth. Just as a mother's voice awakens recognition in her child, naming your inner light establishes an intimate bond with the divine presence that orchestrates your destiny. This is not mere metaphor, but a law as old as consciousness itself. When you acknowledge the sacred within, you activate its dormant potential. Like a flower responding to sunlight, your inner wisdom unfolds when addressed with reverence. The universe has gifted you with an eternal companion. The creative force that shapes worlds awaits your recognition. This power grows through intimacy. As you develop a personal relationship with your inner light, it becomes more responsive to your call. Think of it as awakening a sleeping giant, one that has always been present, but perhaps overlooked. By naming this force, you establish a sacred partnership with the very essence of creation. Consider how Aaron Wiss discovered this truth. In the solitude of dawn, he began whispering to his heart as one would address a beloved friend. At first, the practice seemed strange, perhaps even foolish, but as days passed, he noticed subtle changes. His heartbeat began to respond, as if recognizing its name, expanding with joy at being acknowledged. The rhythm of his life aligned more harmoniously with his deepest desires. This practice transcends mere positive thinking. It taps into the ancient understanding that names carry power, the power to summon, to awaken, to transform. When you name your inner creative force, you establish a direct line of communication with the infinite intelligence that orchestrates the cosmos. Your inner light awaits your recognition. It has been patient through ages, waiting for you to acknowledge its presence. Through naming, you forge an unbreakable bond with this divine aspect of yourself. This connection becomes your gateway to manifestation, your bridge between thought and form. Sacred practice. As the sun rises each morning, find a quiet moment to greet your inner creative fire. Give it a name that resonates with your soul, perhaps radiant, divine light, or any term that feels authentic to you. Speak to it with the warmth of a trusted friend. Share your intentions for the day, knowing this sacred force accompanies you as co-creator of your experience. Trust that, as you nurture this relationship, your path will illuminate with increasing clarity and purpose. And Part 2. The Outer Shore of Manifestation. Chapter 11. The Language of Symbols. In a sunlit studio overlooking ancient gardens, Lena Zur discovered the secret language that bridges thought and manifestation. Each morning she would take blank sheets of paper and paint tiny, radiant suns in their corners. At first, this practice seemed nothing more than a simple ritual. Yet, as weeks passed, she noticed how rooms containing these papers grew warmer with possibility, as if the drawn symbols had awakened dormant light within the space. Through this act, you touch upon a fundamental truth of creation. Symbols speak directly to the deepest layers of consciousness, bypassing the analytical mind to plant seeds of transformation. The universe itself communicates through symbol and pattern, embedding meaning into form. When you consciously work with symbols, you engage the primary language of creation. Your subconscious mind does not distinguish between an actual sun and its representation. It responds to the essence, the meaning, encoded within the form. This is why ancient cultures preserved their wisdom in symbol and glyph. They understood that certain shapes carry universal power, transcending time and culture to speak directly to the soul. Consider how Thomas Pye's experience revealed this truth. In his dreams, a golden key appeared night after night until he began drawing it in his journal. Soon, opportunities opened mysteriously, as if the symbol had become a living force attracting its material counterpart. The key was more than metaphor. It had become an active bridge between thought and manifestation. This knowledge offers you a powerful tool for transformation. By surrounding yourself with carefully chosen symbols, you create a field of resonance that attracts corresponding experiences. The symbols you choose become silent instructions to the universe, continuously broadcasting your intentions on subtle frequencies. Think of these symbols as seeds planted in the fertile soil of consciousness. Each time your eyes rest upon them, they grow stronger, their influence deepening until they manifest as living reality. This is not magic, but natural law, the law that governs how energy follows attention and form follows thought. Sacred practice. Begin identifying symbols that represent your deepest aspirations. Perhaps a spiral for growth, a star for guidance, or a circle for completion. Place these symbols thoughtfully in your environment, on your desk, in your journal, beside your bed. Let them be subtle, yet present, like quiet guardians of your intentions. As you move through your days, allow these symbols to remind you of the reality you are calling forth. Watch as they transform from mere marks into living energies, actively participating in the creation of your experience. Chapter 12. The Alchemy of Sound. In the quiet hours before dawn, Maria Tock discovered a truth that would transform her understanding of creation. As she sat in her garden, humming softly without purpose or pattern, she witnessed how the morning flowers turned toward her voice. The simple act revealed the first principle: sound shapes reality. Through this resonance with life itself, a deeper wisdom emerged. Every utterance carries the power to mold the unseen forces that govern existence. Your words are not mere expressions. They are the architects of your reality, each syllable laying foundation stones in the temple of your experience. The universe responds not to the surface meaning of your speech, but to the vibrational essence contained within. When you speak, you unleash waves of creative force that ripple through the fabric of existence. These ripples return as the circumstances and conditions of your life This truth found powerful demonstration through Piotr Ney's experience. For years he had greeted each morning with the same phrase, "Another difficult day ahead." His life reflected this proclamation with unwavering accuracy. Then, guided by inner wisdom, he altered his daily declaration to, "I welcome the gifts this day brings." Within weeks, the entire complexion of his existence shifted. Opportunities arose unexpectedly, relationships sweetened, and paths cleared before him. His simple shift in expression reshaped the atmospheric conditions of his life. Like a master conductor, he had changed the score, and the orchestra of existence responded accordingly. Through this transformation, he proved that words do not simply describe our reality. They generate it. The air around you is alive with potential, waiting to be shaped by the tones of your speech. Each word you utter sends forth a pattern that the universe faithfully reproduces in physical form. You are continuously broadcasting the blueprint of your experience through the frequency of your chosen expressions. The ancient practice. Sit in quietude as dawn approaches. For the space of 3 breaths, allow silence to clear the chamber of your mind. Then, with gentle attention, begin forming each sentence you speak as though describing a world already filled with your heart's desires. Let your words flow like music, carrying the tone of fulfillment already achieved. Continue this practice until you feel the shift from mere speaking to conscious creation. Chapter 13. The Veil of Expectation. In a small mountain village, Ada Kur tended her modest shop, arranging her wares each morning with meticulous care. Yet day after day she would stand behind her counter, silently rehearsing the certainty of empty hours ahead. As surely as water flows downhill, her prophecy fulfilled itself. Customers turned away at her door, sensing the heavy air of anticipated disappointment. Then one morning, while arranging her shelves, she noticed how the dust motes danced in the sunbeam. Each particle suspended in light, moving in perfect response to invisible currents. In that moment, understanding dawned. Just as those motes followed the air's subtle direction, so too did life's circumstances follow the current of her thoughts. The law writes itself in every moment. Your expectations are silent commands to the universe. When you await misfortune, you unknowingly dispatch messengers to arrange its arrival. Your anticipation becomes the architect of tomorrow, drawing up detailed plans that the universe faithfully executes. Consider Stefan Roos, who walked the same streets each day beneath storm clouds of his own making. His thoughts dwelled on what could go wrong, and the world obliged by manifesting his fears. Then one morning, he chose differently. Instead of armoring himself against imagined disasters, he allowed gentleness to fill his mind. He greeted each moment as though it carried a gift. The shift was subtle at first, a smile from a stranger, an unexpected kindness, a fortunate timing. But as his new expectation took root, the very fabric of his days began to reshape itself. Opportunities appeared where there had been walls. Doors opened that he hadn't known existed. The universe rearranged itself to match his transformed vision. This is not mere coincidence, but cosmic law. Mind dictates probability. Your expectations are not passive observers, but active creators, reaching into the quantum field of possibility and drawing forth matching circumstances. When you expect beauty, you tune your entire being to its frequency. When you anticipate grace, you become its natural conductor. Think of your mind as a master gardener. The seeds it plants, whether flowers or weeds, will surely grow. Each expectation you hold becomes a seed, drawing to itself all elements needed for its manifestation. Practice. Begin each day by consciously setting your expectation of beauty and blessing. Envision your desired experience as an appointment already scheduled in the cosmic calendar. Feel the certainty of its arrival as deeply as you trust the sun to rise. Let your anticipation be a beacon, drawing forth the very circumstances you wish to meet. This is not hoping or wishing, but knowing. As surely as spring follows winter, your expectation shapes the contours of what approaches. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Temple of Silence. Long ago, in a remote valley, a woman named Sonia Pell lived in perpetual motion, her days filled with endless activity and ceaseless thought. Though she sought wisdom in ancient texts and distant teachers, true understanding eluded her grasp. One dawn, exhausted from her searching, she sat beneath an ancient oak tree and, for the first time, allowed herself to be still. In that moment of surrender, she discovered a vast expanse within, an infinite space untouched by the world's commotion. As she returned to this inner sanctuary day after day, she realized that all answers already existed in this soundless realm, waiting to be recognized rather than found. Within the depths of silence dwells a sacred intelligence that needs no voice to speak its truth. This quiet space is not empty, but pregnant with infinite possibility. Just as the universe emerged from the great silence before creation, all manifestation springs forth from moments of pure stillness. When you learn to rest in this sacred quiet, you tap into the very source of creative power. The world teaches that answers come through constant seeking, yet wisdom reveals itself most clearly when the mind grows still, like the surface of a lake that must become motionless to reflect the sky above. Your consciousness must settle into silence to mirror divine intelligence. In these sacred moments of inner quiet, the whispers of intuition become thunderous clarity. Marek John discovered this truth after years of frantically pursuing signs and guidance. One evening, having exhausted himself with questions, he simply stopped asking. In that space of acceptance, understanding flowed effortlessly, not as words or visions, but as unwavering knowing. The silence had become his teacher. When you cease the endless internal dialogue and rest in the sacred stillness, you open yourself to guidance that transcends ordinary thought. This is not the absence of sound, but the presence of limitless potential. Every answer you seek already exists within this infinite quiet. Ancient practice. Find a space where you will remain undisturbed. Sit comfortably and allow your attention to turn inward. Rather than forcing thoughts away, simply observe them passing like clouds across the sky of your awareness. As your mind naturally settles, rest in the silence that emerges. Remain here until you sense that deep knowing that arises not from thought, but from the still depths of being. Practice this daily, allowing the sacred silence to become your most trusted guide. Chapter 15. The Crystal of Decision. In a small village among ancient hills, a young woman named Olga Dre stood at the crossroads of her destiny. Each morning, she would rise with uncertainty clouding her vision, possibilities swirling around her like autumn leaves in a tempest. The weight of unmade decisions hung heavy in the air, creating a thick mist that seemed to obscure every path before her. You see, within every moment of indecision lies a veiled power waiting to be unleashed. When thoughts remain unfocused, floating between various possibilities, they cannot condense into the pure energy needed for manifestation. This is the first essential truth. Decision acts as the crystallizing force that transforms ethereal potential into tangible reality. The universe responds not to wishful contemplation, but to the electric certainty of choice. When you declare your path with unwavering clarity, the very fabric of existence begins to arrange itself in accordance with your decision. This is not mere coincidence, but the operation of an eternal law, the law of directed consciousness. Edmund Sock discovered this truth through his own journey. After years of drifting between possibilities, he finally stood firm in his chosen direction. From that moment, every event, every encounter, every circumstance aligned to support his decision. When he chose to become a healer, patients appeared at his door. When he decided to build a sanctuary, benefactors emerged from unexpected places. The universe responded not to his wishes, but to his choices. This teaches us that commitment possesses a magnetic quality. When you make a clear decision, you create a line of force, an energetic pathway through which manifestation can flow. Uncertainty scatters your creative power, while decision concentrates it into a laser beam of intentional energy. The fog that surrounds Olga began to lift only when she realized that clarity comes not from endless contemplation, but from the act of choosing itself. Each decision, no matter how small, serves as a declaration to the universe, a statement of who you are becoming. In your own life, notice how unmade decisions create stagnation. Feel how the very act of choosing, even in small matters, brings immediate relief and a sense of forward movement. This is the universe responding to your willingness to direct your own path. Practice. As the ancient masters taught, sit in quietude each morning and announce one clear choice to the universe. Hold this declaration in your heart until you feel the subtle shift, the moment when unseen forces begin to crystallize around your decision. Continue this practice until you sense the solid ground of certainty beneath your feet, knowing that each choice shapes the reality that follows. Chapter 16. The Infinite Gift. At the heart of manifestation lies a truth so simple yet so frequently overlooked. Within the ancient scrolls of wisdom, a story emerges of Ila Bear, who waited at the threshold of abundance, searching for evidence before allowing joy to enter her heart. Day after day, she stood guard over her emotions, rationing gratitude as though it were a precious commodity to be dispensed only after receiving proof of blessing. Yet the universe operates through inverse principles. Like a farmer who must first plant the seed before witnessing the harvest, gratitude must precede manifestation. When Ela finally understood this eternal law, she began celebrating the gifts that existed in potential, rather than waiting for their physical appearance. As she shifted into this new way of being, the very fabric of her reality began to transform. The gates of abundance respond not to desperate need, but to the magnetic force of appreciation. This truth reveals itself through the tale of Joseph Wren, who discovered the hidden power of grateful celebration. Standing before an empty purse, rather than succumbing to despair, he chose to rejoice. With each expression of thanks, he planted seeds in the fertile soil of possibility. Soon, as naturally as dawn follows night, prosperity flowed into his life. You possess this same creative force within you. The law remains constant. Emotion shapes the mold into which substance flows. Your feelings are the architects of tomorrow's reality. When you choose gratitude before evidence appears, you align with the creative principle that governs all manifestation. Think of gratitude as a lens through which you view your world. When you peer through this lens, even before physical changes manifest, you tune your consciousness to the frequency of abundance. This alignment creates a bridge between the unseen and the seen, between potential and actualization. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you feel. When you cultivate genuine appreciation for blessings still invisible to physical eyes, you create a magnetic field that draws those very blessings into material form. This is not mere positive thinking. It is the activation of universal law. Practice. Each evening, set aside a sacred moment for rejoicing over blessings that exist in potential. Feel the joy of dreams fulfilled as though they already surround you. Let your gratitude flow freely for gifts still unseen by physical eyes. This feeling becomes the sculptor's hands, shaping ethereal possibility into tangible reality. Chapter 17. The Magnetic Eye. In the quietude of an ancient temple, there exists a truth so fundamental it has whispered through the corridors of time. What you behold with unwavering attention transforms into lived experience. The wisdom keepers spoke of Zina Pop, whose brush danced across canvas after canvas, each stroke imbued with vision of what could be. She painted abundance, joy, and harmony, not as wishes but as declarations to the universe. Through your own journey of manifestation, you have encountered this immutable law. The art of seeing shapes the substance of being. Just as Zina's paintings became portals through which possibility stepped into reality, your focused attention draws forth the elements of your desires from the infinite field of potential. The power lies not in desperate wanting, but in the serene certainty of beholding. When you look upon your current circumstances with eyes that perceive completion rather than lack, you initiate an ancient alchemy. This is the sacred act of transformation, not through force or striving, but through the gentle power of sustained vision. Consider Roman Breck, who discovered this truth amid apparent disorder. Where others saw only chaos, he perceived the hidden order waiting to emerge. His loving gaze acted as a lens through which harmony revealed itself, for the universe responds not to what is, but to how it is perceived. This principle operates with mathematical precision. Energy flows where attention goes. When you hold a vision with unwavering focus, you command the very particles of existence to arrange themselves according to your seeing. It is not hope that manifests, but certainty, the knowing eye that recognizes perfection even in its embryonic state. The masters taught that reality is fluid, responsive to the quality of observation it receives. Like iron filings aligning with a magnetic field, circumstances arrange themselves to match your sustained vision. This is not magical thinking, but rather the operation of universal law, as constant as gravity, as reliable as the dawn. Practice. Find a quiet moment each day to sit in stillness. Gaze upon your world with soft eyes and an open heart, seeing each element of your life as already perfected. Do not strain to change what you see, but rather allow your vision to rest in the knowledge of completion. Like an artist appreciating a finished masterpiece, behold your reality as though every detail has already aligned with your highest good. Let this seeing become your natural state, and watch as the visible world gently shifts to match your vision. Chapter 18. The Field of Reciprocity. In a village among misty mountains, there lived a woman named Kira Wool, who understood a sacred principle that would transform the very fabric of existence. Each morning she stood at her window and beheld the world with eyes of pure appreciation. To passing strangers she offered silent blessings. To the merchants in the marketplace she gave genuine words of gratitude. To children playing in the streets she bestowed smiles of pure delight. The universe operates through an eternal law of circulation. What flows out must flow back, multiplied and magnified. As you direct your energy into the world, so shall it return to you. This truth lies at the heart of all abundance, yet few grasp its profound simplicity. When you give praise without condition, when you offer blessing without expectation, you activate the cosmic law of reciprocity. Through your appreciation, you become a channel through which universal abundance flows. The moment you withhold, the flow diminishes. The instant you give freely, it expands. This is not mere theory. It is the foundational principle upon which all prosperity rests. Consider the tale of Henry Zan, who transformed his life through this understanding. In every encounter, whether with beggar or merchant prince, he saw an opportunity to exchange divine grace. He treated each interaction as sacred commerce, offering genuine appreciation and receiving abundance in return. His wealth grew not through calculation, but through the natural expansion that follows unrestricted giving. When you bless others, you declare your trust in the abundance of the universe. You demonstrate faith in the infinite supply that flows through all things. This faith becomes the magnet that draws prosperity toward you. Yet the blessing must be pure, untainted by expectation or demand. It must flow from a heart that gives simply because giving is its nature. The law operates with mathematical precision. What you send into the world returns multiplied. A single blessing ripples outward, touching countless lives before returning as a wave of abundance. A moment of genuine appreciation sets in motion forces that echo through eternity. This is the geometry of gratitude, the sacred mathematics of circulation. Sacred practice. As you move through your day, silently bless each person you encounter. See them as partners in the divine dance of giving and receiving. Let your heart radiate appreciation without condition or limit. Watch as the universe mirrors your generosity, returning each blessing multiplied. Through this practice, you join the eternal flow of abundance that sustains all life. Chapter 19. The Doorway of Trust. In the heart of an ancient marketplace, a merchant named Olapaw arranged her wares each morning with meticulous precision. Day after day, she positioned her goods according to careful calculation and rigid planning. Though successful by ordinary measures, she felt a persistent whisper within, urging her to break from her usual patterns. One morning, against all logical reasoning, she followed a subtle urge to arrange her shop differently. Rather than displaying her finest pieces at the front as custom dictated, she placed them in an obscure corner. The rational mind protested, yet something deeper guided her hands. That afternoon, a mysterious traveler, drawn to that very corner, discovered her most precious items. This chance encounter led to an opportunity that would have remained forever hidden had she ignored her inner knowing. The universe speaks in whispers, not shouts. Its language is the soft nudge of intuition, the quiet knowing that transcends the mind's constant chatter. When you attune yourself to this subtle guidance, you align with currents of possibility that logic alone could never reveal. Consider how often the analytical mind attempts to map every step before taking the first one. Yet the grandest designs of the universe rarely reveal themselves to such rigid planning. The cosmic order operates through an intelligence far vaster than human reasoning. Victor Glee discovered this truth through his own journey. A master planner who had always charted every detail of his path, he found himself at a crossroads where no amount of analysis could light the way forward. In that moment of surrender, when he finally released his grip on control, life's divine sequence began to unfold with perfect precision. The universe operates through an intelligence that orchestrates millions of events in perfect harmony. This wisdom flows through you as intuition, the knowing beyond knowing. When you trust this inner compass, you tap into a field of infinite intelligence that arranges circumstances with exquisite timing. Trust becomes the bridge between intention and manifestation. It is not blind faith, but rather a refined attunement to the subtle currents of life. Each time you honor your intuitive knowing, you strengthen this connection, allowing greater wonders to flow through this channel of trust. Let your inner knowing guide you. Release the need to understand every step before taking action. The universe reveals its plan through the language of gentle nudges, subtle coincidences, and quiet certainty. Your role is simply to listen and follow. Remember, the path of manifestation often defies logical sequence. What appears as random chance to the analytical mind is actually precise orchestration by universal intelligence. Trust opens the door to this higher ordering. Practice. Each day, set aside a period of sacred stillness. Turn your attention inward, away from the noise of external demands and mental chatter. Rest in the space of pure awareness until you sense the subtle stirring of intuitive guidance. When this gentle knowing emerges, follow its direction without demanding to see the entire path. Let confidence arise naturally from this alignment with inner wisdom. Continue this practice until trust becomes your natural state of being. The ancient ones taught that the greatest power lies not in forcing our will upon life, but in aligning with the perfect flow that already exists. Through trust, you become a conscious participant in this divine dance of manifestation. Chapter 20. The Secret of Continuance. In a small mountain village, Rosa Nick began each venture with blazing enthusiasm. Her hands would tremble with excitement as she gathered materials for a new painting, arranged seeds for a garden, or opened blank for writing. Yet as surely as dawn followed night, her fervor would fade like morning mist, leaving projects half-finished and dreams suspended in twilight. Within the depths of your being lives this same pattern of passionate beginnings. You recognize the electric thrill of new endeavors, the way possibility sparkles in those first moments of creation. Yet the true alchemy of manifestation requires more than initial spark. It demands the steady flame of unwavering attention. The universe speaks through persistence. Each consistent action carves a channel in the fabric of reality, through which divine power flows with increasing force. When you maintain focus on a single point, you command the scattered energies of existence to converge. This convergence transforms ethereal thought into solid form. Consider the tale of Jan Paul, who spent 20 years carving stone in his modest workshop. Each morning, he would approach the marble with quiet reverence, letting his chisel touch the surface with gentle certainty. Days became months, months stretched into years, and still he carved with unchanged devotion. Gradually, the stone began responding to his touch before the chisel made contact, as if it anticipated his intention. The marble seemed to reveal its hidden forms willingly, flowing beneath his hands like water. The law governing this phenomenon remains constant. Energy follows attention. Where consciousness maintains steady focus, matter eventually yields. Your thoughts, when held with unwavering consistency, become instructions that the universe must obey. This is not the realm of forcing or striving, but of steady, patient alignment. Think of the ocean wearing away stone, or water carving canyons through rock. These transformations occur not through sudden force, but through the power of persistent presence. Similarly, your sustained attention to a single vision creates an energetic groove through which manifestation naturally flows. The 33rd degree reveals that mastery emerges not from sporadic brilliance, but from devoted practice. When you commit to one path, one vision, one practice, you announce to the universe your readiness to receive. This dedication becomes a magnetic force, drawing forth the very essence of your desire. Ancient practice. Find a quiet moment at sunrise. Close your eyes and envision your deepest aspiration as a seed of light within your heart. For the next 33 days, spend 11 minutes each morning nurturing this same vision. Let your breath flow steadily as you hold the image with gentle focus. Watch how the universe begins orchestrating circumstances to match your sustained attention. Through this practice, you declare your commitment to the law of persistence, allowing divine power to flow through the channel of your unwavering devotion. Part 3. The Master Alignment. Chapter 21. The Throne of Awareness. In the quiet mountains of the East, Agnawil discovered a truth that transformed her understanding of reality. Each morning, she would sit beneath an ancient cedar tree, observing the parade of thoughts that crossed her mind. At first, these thoughts seemed like untamed winds, sweeping her in countless directions. Yet as her observation deepened, she began to perceive them differently, as attendants waiting in a grand court, each eager to serve but requiring direction from their sovereign. Your mind operates as this same celestial court. Every thought that arises stands as an attendant, awaiting your conscious command. When you recognize this fundamental truth, the seemingly chaotic nature of consciousness reveals its underlying order. You are not at the mercy of your thoughts. You are their rightful ruler. The universe has bestowed upon you this divine authority. Each moment presents a choice: to be carried away by the court's chatter, or to sit upon the throne of awareness, governing with serene wisdom. This governance requires no force, no struggle. It asks only for your conscious presence, your unwavering observation. Consider Tomasz Esch, who found himself amid a marketplace in turmoil. Merchants argued, children cried, and confusion reigned. Yet Tomasz sat on a simple wooden bench, his presence unchanging. Those who passed him felt their agitation dissolve, as if touching a still pool. Without word or action, his inner stillness commanded outer chaos to transform into harmony. This exemplifies the higher law. Consciousness, when seated in its natural authority, needs no defense. Like a monarch whose mere presence brings order to the court, your aware attention naturally aligns the realm of thought. This is not control through force, but governance through grace. The 33rd degree teaches that mastery of mind emerges not from battling thoughts, but from recognizing their true nature as servants of awareness. When you maintain the position of conscious observer, mental activity naturally arranges itself in harmonious patterns around your stable center. Ancient practice. Find a quiet space and assume the posture of inner sovereignty. Watch as thoughts approach like courtiers seeking audience. Observe them without engagement, maintaining the dignified silence of true authority. Notice how they begin to bow to your steady awareness, arranging themselves in service to your peace. Practice this royal observation for 20 minutes each day, allowing the natural hierarchy of consciousness to restore itself through your unwavering presence. Chapter 22. The Flame Behind the Eyes. In the ancient mountains of the East, a wise woman named Agnya Will discovered a truth that transformed her understanding of reality. Each morning, she would sit beneath an ancient cedar tree, observing the parade of thoughts that crossed her mind. At first, these thoughts seemed like untamed winds, sweeping her in countless directions. Yet as her observation deepened, she began to perceive them differently, as attendants waiting in a grand court, each eager to serve but requiring direction from their sovereign. Your mind operates as this same celestial court. Every thought that arises comes forth as a loyal servant, awaiting your command. When you recognize this truth, you step into your rightful position as ruler of your mental kingdom. No longer are you subject to every passing notion. Instead, you become the serene observer, the wise monarch who chooses which thoughts to entertain and which to dismiss with gentle authority. This mastery comes not through force or resistance, but through the grace of pure awareness. As you cultivate this witnessing presence, thoughts naturally bow to your sovereign consciousness. They cease their clamoring and arrange themselves in harmonious order, ready to serve your highest intentions. Consider the tale of Tomasz Esk, who discovered this truth amid great turmoil. While others rushed about in confusion during a marketplace crisis, he remained seated, unmoved, at the center of chaos. Those who witnessed this remarkable scene observed how the very air around him seemed to still itself. As his inner peace held steady, the outer world gradually aligned with his tranquility. Without speaking a word or lifting a finger, his unwavering presence brought order to disorder. This power lives within you. When you cease reacting to every mental stimulus and instead maintain your seat of awareness, reality reshapes itself according to your inner stability. The universe responds not to your activity, but to your state of being. The ancient ones knew, true power flows not from controlling thoughts, but from transcending their influence. From this elevated perspective, what once seemed like mental chaos reveals itself as a dance of energy awaiting direction. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space each morning. Sit as though upon a throne of awareness. Watch your thoughts approach like courtiers seeking audience. Acknowledge each one with gentle detachment, neither engaging nor dismissing. Let them pass naturally through the court of your consciousness. Maintain this royal observation until you sense the deepening silence that is your true nature. In this stillness, you will discover the effortless authority that is your birthright. Chapter 23. The Wisdom of Non-Resistance. Along the ancient trade routes that wound through desert lands, a merchant named Sarah Gree battled against every obstacle with fierce determination. Each setback she met with doubled effort, each barrier with renewed force. Yet the more she fought, the more resistance she encountered, until exhaustion finally brought her to her knees in the cool shade of an oasis. In that moment of complete surrender, when her shoulders finally relaxed and her breath deepened, wisdom whispered its timeless truth. The greatest power lies not in forcing your way forward, but in aligning with the natural flow of life itself. You may recognize this pattern in your own journey. Like Sarah, you have likely spent countless hours pushing against circumstances, believing that through sheer force of will, you could bend reality to your desires. Yet the universe operates according to higher laws that transcend human striving. When you cease wrestling with life's current, you discover an effortless power that carries you precisely where you need to go. This truth manifested clearly in the life of Philip Das, who had spent years carefully orchestrating every detail of his existence. His calendar brimmed with precise plans, his future mapped to the smallest detail. Yet despite his meticulous efforts, fulfillment remained elusive. Only when he released his grip on rigid expectations did life begin to flow with surprising grace. Solutions appeared spontaneously, opportunities arose unbidden, and synchronicity became his constant companion. The wisdom encoded in these experiences reveals a profound paradox. True mastery comes not through domination, but through harmonious cooperation with life's intelligence. When you cease struggling against what is, you tap into a power far greater than personal will. Like water flowing around obstacles rather than crashing against them, this way of being accomplishes more through gentle persistence than force ever could. This surrender is not passive resignation, but active alignment with the infinite wisdom that orchestrates the cosmos. It is the recognition that you are part of a greater whole, supported and guided by currents of grace that become apparent only when you stop thrashing against them. Practice. Each morning and evening, find a quiet space where you can sit undisturbed. Close your eyes, settle your breath, and gently repeat the phrase, "I flow wherever goodness leads." Let these words sink deep into your consciousness until you feel tension dissolving and ease becoming your natural state. Continue this practice until surrendering to life's wisdom becomes as natural as breathing. Chapter 24. The Memory of Light. In a distant valley where mountain streams sang their eternal songs, there lived a woman whose heart carried wounds from years of sorrow. Each morning, she would wake to find the weight of past hurts pressing upon her spirit, until one dawn changed everything. As sunlight painted the hills in gold, she closed her eyes and allowed a cherished memory to surface. A moment from childhood when pure joy had filled her entire being. In that sacred remembrance, she felt the warmth of summer grass beneath her feet, heard the melody of wind in ancient trees, and experienced once more the boundless delight that had once been her natural state. This simple act of remembrance awakened something profound within her. The joy she recalled was not merely a shadow of the past. It lived still, waiting to be recognized. With each breath, the radiance of that memory began to pulse through her body, touching every cell with its healing light. You possess this same power within you now. Every moment of pure joy you have ever experienced remains alive in the eternal present, waiting to be recalled into being. These moments are not lost to time. They are seeds of transformation, ready to blossom anew when watered with your conscious attention. The universe holds all moments in perfect simultaneity. When you choose to remember joy, you do not simply recall a faded photograph. You reactivate a living frequency that can transform your present experience. Each remembrance of light creates ripples through the fabric of your being, restoring the natural vibration of wellness and abundance. Consider how a master musician can recall a beautiful melody heard long ago, bringing it forth again with fresh vitality. So too can you conduct the symphony of your finest moments, letting their harmonies play once more through the instrument of your present awareness. In the silence of your heart, ancient happiness waits to be rediscovered. These golden moments are not lost. They are eternal, woven into the very substance of your soul. When you touch them again with conscious awareness, their light flows outward, blessing not only your present moment, but all moments to come. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you can be undisturbed. Close your eyes and journey back to a moment of pure, unreasoned joy, a time when happiness filled you completely. Feel every detail of that experience as if it were happening now. Let the sensations flow through your body, the emotions fill your heart. Breathe into this remembrance until its radiance begins to pulse through your present moment. Practice this daily, allowing the light of past joy to illuminate your now, until all moments shine with renewed vitality. Chapter 25. The River of Unconditional Love. In a distant village, Lu Dan carried the burden of an ancient grudge. Each morning he would sit beneath the towering cypress trees, his heart heavy with memories of betrayal. Yet on one remarkable dawn, as golden light filtered through the leaves, something within him shifted. Without reason or condition, he released his grip on past injuries. In that moment of pure surrender, chains of resentment dissolved like morning mist, and freedom flooded his being. This truth echoes through the corridors of time. When you release judgment, the universe responds with immediate liberation. The density of old wounds, crystallized in consciousness through years of holding on, liquefies in the presence of unconditional love. This transformation requires no logic, no justification, only the willingness to let love flow unrestricted. Marek Saab discovered this wisdom while facing his greatest rival. In the midst of conflict, he chose to offer a genuine smile, not from strategy or manipulation, but from the depths of his awakened heart. As his expression softened, he felt power surge through him, not as dominance, but as pure life force. His rival, caught off guard by this unexpected warmth, found his own defenses melting away. The lesson speaks clearly. Affection accelerates the evolution of consciousness. When you choose love over judgment, you bypass years of spiritual struggle. This is not the slow path of logical resolution, but the instant alchemy of transformed perception. Every moment holds the potential for this sacred transmutation. Love, in its highest expression, asks nothing in return. It flows like sunlight, touching all it encounters without discrimination. This is the forgotten power you now reclaim, the ability to dissolve density through pure, unconditional acceptance. Your heart knows this truth. Love is not a sentiment, but a force that rearranges reality at the quantum level. As you embrace this knowing, the very fabric of your experience begins to shift. The past loses its power to bind, and present possibility expands exponentially. Ancient practice. Find a quiet space and center your awareness in your heart. Begin sending currents of pure love outward, making no distinction between worthy and unworthy recipients. Let this love flow like light, touching everything in its path. Past hurts, present challenges, future uncertainties. Continue until you feel your entire being filled with this radiating warmth. This is not an exercise in emotion, but a remembrance of your natural state. Chapter 26. The Crown of Simplicity. Through the veils of time comes the tale of Nina Gage, who walked the paths between villages as a healer. Where others carried bags filled with remedies and tools, she carried only the lightness of her being. Those who sought her wisdom often arrived with lists of desires, dreams yet unfulfilled, and burdens too heavy to bear. In the stillness of her presence, a profound truth emerged. Each time someone spoke of their yearnings, for wealth, love, success, or healing, Nina would gently guide them to the essence beneath all seeking. Peace, she would say, her voice carrying the weight of ancient knowing, is the foundation from which all blessings flow. The universe speaks in the language of unity, not division. When your consciousness rests in peace, you align with the singular force that manifests all creation. This truth echoes through the ages. Simplicity amplifies power, while complexity scatters it across too many channels. Stefan Krey's journey illuminates this wisdom further. A merchant who once tracked every transaction, plan, and possibility, he found himself overwhelmed by the constant calculations of his mind. In a moment of surrender, he released all his elaborate prayers and supplications, replacing them with two simple words: "Thank you." This pure expression of gratitude became his only practice. As days passed, he noticed an extraordinary transformation. His needs began dissolving one by one, not through acquisition, but through the discovery that most were unnecessary. His business flourished not through complex strategies, but through the magnetic power of his contentment. The law reveals itself. Focus unified becomes power multiplied. When consciousness rests in one pure note rather than a cacophony of desires, the universe responds with perfect resonance. Like a laser beam compared to scattered light, unified intention cuts through all obstacles. Your journey to mastery requires not the accumulation of more techniques, but the distillation of all seeking into its purest essence. Peace is not merely the absence of conflict. It is the presence of divine harmony from which all good naturally flows. Ancient practice. Seat yourself in quietude and gather all your wishes, dreams, and desires before your mind's eye. One by one, trace each back to its source until you discover the peace at its core. Let your breath become slow and steady as you release the complexity of wanting, settling into the simple acceptance of being. Rest in this space of pure serenity, knowing it contains all you seek. Maintain this practice until you feel the shift from many desires to one essential truth. Peace is enough. Chapter 27. The Union of Mind and Heart. In the mists of ancient memory dwells a tale of Dana Pell, who spent decades gathering knowledge in scrolls and tomes. Her mind grew sharp as a sword's edge, yet her heart remained untouched by the wisdom she acquired. Night after night, she filled with brilliant theories until her candle burned low, believing that pure intellect would unlock life's mysteries. One evening, as she pondered complex formulas, a small bird flew through her window with an injured wing. In that moment, something shifted within her. Rather than analyzing the bird's condition, she felt its pain, and her compassion flowed naturally. As she nursed it back to health, she discovered that her tender care accomplished more than all her calculated strategies ever had. Through this simple act, the veils of separation dissolved. What her mind had struggled to grasp, her heart understood instantly. The bird's healing progressed not through scholarly knowledge alone, but through the marriage of understanding and love. Within your own being lies this same sacred union of mind and heart. The intellect, brilliant as it may be, finds its true power when bathed in the light of compassion. When you approach life's challenges, remember that logic alone builds walls, while wisdom tempered by warmth builds bridges. Igor Ked discovered this truth while mediating disputes in his village. Initially, he relied solely on facts and reason, yet conflicts persisted. Only when he began listening with his heart did solutions emerge naturally. His analytical mind, now guided by empathy, found pathways to harmony that pure logic had missed. The universe responds not just to the precision of your thoughts, but to the warmth they carry. When you align your mental clarity with heartfelt understanding, creation itself begins to mirror this balance. Your manifestations become not just accurate, but alive with nurturing energy. This integration requires no complex formulas. Simply allow your thoughts to dance with your feelings. Let each idea pass through the chamber of your heart before releasing it into the world. Notice how solutions feel different when filtered through compassion. They become not just correct, but deeply right. Your journey toward mastery calls for this sacred marriage of mind and heart. As you learn to think with feeling and feel with clarity, you access a wisdom greater than either alone could provide. This is the alchemy that transforms mere knowledge into living truth. Practice. Each day, sit quietly and place your hand upon your heart. As thoughts arise, let them flow through your heartbeat. Feel how each idea changes when touched by compassion. Continue until your thinking naturally carries the warmth of understanding, and your feelings reflect the clarity of thought. In this union lies the seed of true manifestation. Chapter 28. The Radiant Shadow. In a valley where light and darkness danced their eternal dance, Rita Bal discovered a truth that would transform her understanding of life's opposing forces. Each morning she watched others achieve what seemed beyond her reach, feeling the familiar sting of envy arise within her heart. Yet, instead of turning away from this uncomfortable emotion, she chose to sit with it, to examine its nature with unwavering attention. As days passed, something remarkable began to occur. The very qualities she envied in others started to reveal themselves as dormant seeds within her own being. What had once been bitter jealousy slowly transformed into pure admiration, lighting the path toward her own untapped potential. This revelation unveils an essential truth. What we resist within ourselves holds the key to our greatest powers. When shadow aspects of consciousness are embraced rather than rejected, they transform from obstacles into allies. Each seemingly negative emotion carries within it the seed of its opposite virtue, waiting to be recognized and cultivated. Consider how Leon Piss discovered this principle through his relationship with anger. Rather than suppressing his fiery emotions, he chose to sit with them, to understand their source. In doing so, he uncovered that beneath the surface of his anger lay a wellspring of courage he had never known existed. His rage, once acknowledged and understood, revealed itself as passionate strength waiting to be channeled. The universe operates through the law of polarity. Every shadow contains light, every weakness holds strength. When you resist any aspect of yourself, you inadvertently strengthen its hold. But when you embrace what you once rejected, transformation becomes possible. This ancient wisdom teaches that our perceived flaws are not mistakes to be corrected, but rather signposts pointing toward our greatest gifts. The very qualities that cause us discomfort often indicate where our greatest potential lies dormant. Your shadows are not your enemies. They are teachers in disguise, waiting to reveal profound truths about your nature. Each fault line in your character marks the location of buried treasure. Each difficulty presents an opportunity for alchemical transformation. Ancient practice. Find a quiet space and bring to mind what you consider your greatest flaw. Rather than attempting to change or fix it, simply smile at it with genuine warmth and curiosity. Notice how this acceptance begins to shift your relationship with this aspect of yourself. Continue this practice daily, allowing each perceived imperfection to reveal its hidden purpose and power. As you embrace what you once rejected, watch as lead transforms to gold within your consciousness. Chapter 29. The Infinite Continuum. In ancient times, a woman named Inga Rush walked along the shore at dawn, watching waves retreat and return in endless rhythm. With each breath of the sea, she felt her own breath align, discovering a profound truth within this simple observation. The ocean's perpetual motion spoke of nature's greatest mystery, that nothing truly ends, but transforms into new beginnings. Within this cycle, you discover the eternal law that governs all existence. Just as waves never cease their dance with the shore, life moves in continuous patterns of completion and renewal. What appears as an ending merely signals the gathering of energy for the next expression of being. The universe knows no true conclusion, only points of transformation where one form yields to another. This wisdom lies encoded in every heartbeat, each inhalation and exhalation, the setting and rising of the sun. When you align with this truth, fear of endings dissolves into recognition of perpetual renewal. Otto Chick embodied this lesson when he lost his way in life. Standing at what seemed the end of all hopes, he discovered an unexpected doorway. In that moment of supreme surrender, fresh purpose awakened within him. What appeared as devastating conclusion became the soil from which new directions sprouted. Through his experience, you glimpse the secret of eternal momentum, that life's forward motion never truly halts but simply changes form. Like a river meeting the sea, Endings flow naturally into beginnings when you trust the underlying continuity of existence. This recognition awakens a profound shift in consciousness. You begin to see that completion and commencement are not opposing forces, but intimate partners in the dance of creation. Every farewell contains within it the seed of welcome. Every sunset cradles the promise of dawn. The cosmic tempo beats steadily beneath all apparent endings, ensuring that nothing of value can ever be truly lost. It simply withdraws temporarily, gathering force for its next expression, like waves returning to the depths before rising again. Sacred practice. Each evening, select one thing that appears to be ending in your life. Sit quietly and imagine it as a seed being planted in fertile soil. Feel the vital force within beginning to stir and sprout. Greet this point of completion as the birthplace of renewal, knowing that fresh life already quickens beneath the surface. Let your heart beat in rhythm with this eternal cycle of transformation. Chapter 30. The Master Frequency. In the depths of an ancient monastery garden, Lubazem tended roses each morning, noting how every flower expressed the same life force in unique form. As she worked, understanding blossomed within her. All spiritual teachings, like the varied petals, emerged from one root of divine love. The truth reveals itself with graceful simplicity. Beneath the multitude of practices, mantras, and methods lies a singular resonance. This vibration, pure and undiluted, is the essence of all wisdom traditions. When you touch this frequency, the countless paths merge into one river flowing towards source. Each teaching serves as a facet of the diamond of truth, reflecting different aspects of the same light. The mind may grasp at complexity, seeking ever more knowledge, but the heart recognizes that all authentic guidance leads to love's unified field. In this space of oneness, seeking itself dissolves. Emil Toc discovered this truth during his morning meditation. After years of spiritual pursuit, he simply ceased all effort. In that moment of complete surrender, the universe began to sing through him. He realized that striving itself had created the illusion of separation from what he sought. The completion of the spiritual journey arrives not through accumulation of knowledge, but through the recognition that you are already what you seek. When the seeker merges with the sought, all questions find their answer in the silence of being. This is the ultimate alchemy, the transformation of many into one. The secret lies not in mastering increasingly complex spiritual techniques, but in allowing yourself to be mastered by the simplicity of love's presence. When you release the need to understand and simply open to what is, the universe reveals its song through you. As layers of seeking fall away, what remains is the pure awareness that has always been present. This is not an achievement, but a recognition, an awakening to what was never lost. In this space, all teachings fulfill their purpose by dissolving into the unity they point toward. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space and sit comfortably. Close your eyes and simply rest in the awareness of being. Without effort or striving, let this gentle affirmation arise. I and Source are one tone resounding. Allow these words to dissolve into silence, remaining in that space of pure presence. Practice this daily, letting all concepts of separation melt into the direct experience of unity. Act 4. The Celestial Continuation. Chapter 31. The Gate of Reflection. In the hours before dawn, When the world holds its breath in perfect stillness, Lena Dobb discovered a truth that would forever alter her understanding of reality. Standing before a lake untouched by wind, she gazed into waters that mirrored not just the physical world, but the very essence of consciousness itself. You possess this same capacity for profound recognition. When you stand before any reflective surface, be it water, mirror, or the gleam in another's eyes, you encounter more than mere appearance. You witness the living dialogue between consciousness and form, between the observer and the observed. The ancient wisdom teaches that reflection operates as a universal law, extending far beyond the physical mirror. Every thought you release into the cosmos returns to you, multiplied by the attention you give it. Your world becomes a vast mirror, responding not to what you wish to see, but to what you consistently hold in your awareness. Consider how Marek Au's revelation came on a night when stars decorated the surface of a still lake. As he watched each celestial light shimmer upon the water, understanding dawned within his heart. Every point of light responded to his gaze, creating a sacred conversation between heaven and earth. In that moment, he realized that consciousness itself operates as an eternal mirror, reflecting back precisely what we offer to it. This principle reveals why your experiences seem to echo your dominant thoughts. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, reflects back to you the exact frequency of your attention. When you focus on lack, the mirror shows you more opportunities for scarcity. When you attune to abundance, the reflection multiplies prosperity in every direction. Yet this mirroring extends beyond the material realm. Each interaction, each circumstance, each moment serves as a reflection of your inner state. The faces you meet, the situations you encounter, the opportunities that arise, all mirror back the quality of your consciousness. The power of this understanding lies in its practical application. When you recognize that your external world reflects your internal state, you gain the ability to alter the reflection by changing what you hold within. Just as a lake's surface must be still to reflect clearly, your mind must reach a state of calm clarity to accurately mirror your highest intentions. Through this gate of reflection, you discover that identity exists beyond physical form. The true self emerges not in the surface image, but in the awareness that witnesses the reflection. You are not the reflection. You are the consciousness that perceives it. Practice. Find a calm, reflective surface, a still pool, a mirror, or even a window at twilight. Sit before it in perfect stillness. Allow your gaze to soften until you no longer focus on the physical form reflected, but sense the presence of awareness itself. Continue this practice until the boundary between observer and reflection dissolves, revealing the unified field of consciousness that underlies all appearances. Chapter 32. The Divine Interval. In the shadow of an ancient temple, Clara Sitt discovered a truth that had eluded countless seekers before her. As temple bells rang their sacred song, she found herself drawn not to their resonant tones, but to the spaces between them. In these intervals, she encountered something extraordinary, a living silence that pulsed with infinite potential. Like dewdrops suspended in morning light, these moments between moments revealed themselves as portals to the eternal. Clara recognized that just as music finds its rhythm in the spaces between notes, Life's deepest wisdom emerges from the intervals between experiences. Each pause contained not emptiness, but the very essence of creation itself. The universe speaks its most profound truths in whispers of silence. When you learn to attune yourself to these divine intervals, you begin to perceive the underlying structure of existence. These are not mere gaps or absences, but the foundation upon which all manifestation rests. Just as the white space between written words gives meaning to language, the stillness between moments gives form to experience. André Roch's revelation came through patient observation. As he moved through his days, he noticed that his most inspired actions arose not from careful planning, but from listening to the quiet spaces between thoughts. These intervals became his most trusted guide, leading him to harmonious outcomes that logic alone could never have conceived. The cosmic dance of creation requires both movement and stillness, sound and silence, action and rest. You have been taught to value activity, to measure progress by constant motion. Yet the greatest power lies in the spaces between, the divine intervals where potential gathers before manifestation. Think of these intervals as the inhalation before speech, the gathering of energy before expression. They are the pregnant pause before dawn, the moment of possibility before thought crystallizes into form. Within these spaces, the infinite orchestrates its symphony of creation. When you learn to honor these intervals, you align yourself with the natural rhythm of the universe. Like a master musician who knows that music lives as much in the spaces between notes as in the notes themselves, you begin to recognize that life's greatest mysteries unfold in moments of sacred stillness. The power of the interval extends beyond mere temporal spaces. It exists in the gap between thoughts, in the silence between words, in the stillness between breaths. These are the moments when the divine whispers its secrets to those who have learned to listen. Practice. Find a quiet place where you can sit undisturbed. As thoughts arise, turn your attention not to the thoughts themselves, but to the spaces between them. Rest in these intervals as though they were doorways to the infinite. Notice how each pause contains its own luminous quality, its own living presence. Let these moments of stillness reveal themselves as the sacred heartbeat of first creation, the eternal pulse from which all manifestation springs forth. Chapter 33. The Compass of Humility. In the ancient scrolls, a truth lies inscribed in golden letters. The greatest power comes not from rising above, but from bowing within. This wisdom unfolds through the tale of Mira Wach, who once stood atop the mountain of her own certainty, demanding that the universe bend to her will. She sought grand revelations and dramatic signs, expecting the divine to announce its presence with thunder and lightning. Yet the universe, in its infinite wisdom, spoke instead through whispers. Day after day, subtle hints and gentle corrections crossed her path. At first, she dismissed these quiet messengers, believing truth must arrive dressed in splendor. But life, patient teacher that it is, continued its soft instruction until Mira's resistance dissolved into surrender. In this surrender, she discovered an unexpected paradox. The more she released her grip on knowing, the more knowledge flowed freely to her. When she ceased demanding answers, wisdom began to seek her out. The very signs she had once commanded now appeared naturally, like morning dew upon grass. This is the hidden law that governs all spiritual unfoldment. Humility acts as a magnetic force, drawing clarity to those who make space for it. Pride, with its rigid certainty, creates static that scrambles the frequencies of truth. But in the quiet valley of humility, wisdom flows like a clear stream. Oscar Wilde embodied this principle through his interaction with life's continuous corrections. Where others might have bristled at feedback or defended their positions, he received each adjustment with grace. When his beliefs were challenged, he did not fortify his walls but opened his gates wider. When his plans met obstacles, he saw not opposition but refinement. With each bow of acceptance, his inner space expanded. This is the magnificent paradox of spiritual law. What appears to diminish the self actually enlarges it. Every act of humble recognition becomes a doorway to greater understanding. Just as a tree grows stronger by bending with the wind rather than standing rigid against it, the soul grows through flexibility rather than resistance. You stand now at this same threshold of understanding. The universe continuously offers its guidance, not through dramatic displays, but through gentle nudges and quiet corrections. Each moment brings an opportunity to either defend your position or bow to a greater wisdom. In choosing humility, you align with the natural flow of divine instruction. The sacred texts speak of this as the royal modesty, for true sovereignty comes not from commanding but from receiving. When you approach life as an eternal student rather than a finished master, every experience becomes your teacher. Even apparent setbacks reveal themselves as steps forward on the spiral path of growth. Ancient practice. Begin each morning by kneeling or bowing in silent gratitude. As you move through your day, welcome each correction as a gift rather than an affront. When someone offers feedback, breathe deeply and respond with, "Thank you for this teaching." Let every challenge become an opportunity to practice graceful acceptance. In moments of uncertainty, whisper to yourself, "I am willing to be shown a better way." Continue this practice until you feel your inner resistance dissolve and humility becomes your natural state of being. Chapter 34. The Music of Numbers. In the shadow of an ancient observatory, Sophia Ram sat counting stars until a pattern emerged that changed her perception forever. Each evening, she noticed certain numbers appearing with mysterious regularity. In the petals of flowers, in the spirals of shells, in the timing of events that shaped her path. These were not mere coincidences, but whispers of a cosmic language that had always been present, waiting to be understood. The universe speaks through numbers, each digit vibrating with its own sacred frequency. When you learn to listen, you discover that numbers are not cold, lifeless symbols, but living expressions of divine intelligence. They form the basic grammar of creation, the underlying rhythm through which the infinite orchestrates its dance in the finite world. Bart Ali, a humble timekeeper, unlocked this truth through patient observation. He noticed that significant events in his life occurred in numerical sequences. Particular hours would repeat. Specific dates would echo. What others dismissed as chance, he recognized as the universe's subtle guidance system. His breakthroughs arrived at 11:11, his moments of clarity at 3:33, his opportunities at 4:44. Through these patterns, he learned to read the timing of manifestation itself. Numbers hold vibrational signatures that resonate with different aspects of creation. The number 1 vibrates with new beginnings, 2 with balance, 3 with creative expression, 4 with foundation, 5 with change, 6 with harmony, 7 with spiritual insight, 8 with abundance, and 9 with completion. These are not arbitrary associations, but fundamental harmonics in the symphony of existence. When you observe numerical sequences appearing in your life, you glimpse the architecture of divine timing. These patterns are not superstitions to be feared or worshipped, but gentle indicators of universal flow. They reveal the rhythmic nature of manifestation, showing you when to act and when to wait, when to advance and when to reflect. The key lies not in rigid interpretation, but in feeling the resonance of each number. Like musical notes, numbers create harmonies and dissonances, rhythms and melodies. When you attune to this numerical music, you align with the natural timing of your desire's manifestation. Sacred practice. Begin each day by acknowledging the numerical patterns that present themselves to you. Notice the times you wake, the sequences that appear in addresses, phone numbers, or dates. Rather than seeking meaning through predetermined interpretations, feel the energy each number sequence carries. Let your intuition guide your understanding of these cosmic timestamps. Through this practice, you'll develop a natural fluency in the mathematical language of the universe, allowing you to move in harmony with its divine timing. Chapter 35. The Light Between Words. In a humble monastery library, Rosa Len spent countless hours studying ancient texts. Each day she pored over volumes of sacred wisdom, seeking enlightenment through the written word. Yet understanding eluded her until one fateful evening when exhaustion slowed her reading to a gentle pause. In that moment of surrender, as her eyes rested between sentences, something extraordinary happened. The space between words began to glow with meaning far deeper than the text itself. Like sunlight filtering through leaves, truth shimmered in the gaps between letters, in the white space surrounding each phrase. The real teaching lay not in the black ink of letters, but in the luminous field that held them. Just as music lives in the silence between notes, wisdom dwells in the space between thoughts. Every sacred text contains this hidden dimension, an unwritten light that speaks directly to the soul. When you approach any writing with reverence, you discover that meaning flows not just through words, but through the consciousness that cradles them. The physical text serves as a gateway into this deeper dimension of understanding. Each period, each comma, becomes a doorway into infinite awareness. Victor Kahl experienced this mystery while reading an ordinary newspaper. As he slowed his pace, allowing each word to fully form before moving to the next, he felt the air around him become charged with presence. The space between sentences opened like windows into eternity. What appeared as simple news items transformed into portals of revelation. This principle extends beyond religious or spiritual texts. Every written word rides upon an ocean of silence. When you learn to rest in this silence, ordinary language becomes extraordinary. A shopping list can become a sacred scroll when read with awareness of the light between its lines. The ancients understood this secret. They knew that truth cannot be captured in words alone, but lives in the sacred pause that contains them. This is why medieval manuscripts often featured elaborate spaces between letters, not for decoration, but as reminders to rest in the pregnant silence. You need not seek special texts to practice this art. Any writing can serve as your teacher when approached with awareness. The key lies not in what you read, but in how you read it. Let your eyes move slowly, reverently across each line. Feel the spaciousness that holds each word. Notice how meaning deepens when you allow pauses between phrases. These intervals are not empty. They pulse with living intelligence. Like clearings in a forest, they offer spaces where direct knowing can arise. The universe speaks through these silences. When you learn to listen here, every text becomes a conversation with the infinite. The words themselves become secondary to the luminous field from which they emerge. Practice. Choose any text, a novel, a poem, even this page before you. Read slowly, consciously creating space between each word. Let your awareness rest in these intervals. Notice how the meaning shifts when you attend not just to the words, but to the silence that holds them. Continue until you sense the presence that lives in these sacred pauses. Let this presence teach you directly, beyond the limitations of language. Chapter 36. The Sacred Contrast. In a quiet monastery garden, Anakir watched shadows dance across ancient stones. Despite years of spiritual practice, she found herself questioning why moments of darkness still touched her heart. Her meditation had deepened, her understanding had expanded, yet the full spectrum of human emotion continued to move through her like wind through leaves. The wisdom of the ages whispers a truth often overlooked. Contrast serves as the artist of awareness. Just as a painter needs both light and shadow to create depth, your consciousness requires the full palette of experience to paint the masterpiece of understanding. This is not a flaw in the design of existence, but its very perfection. Within the sacred mathematics of being, every shadow cast by life heightens the brilliance of illumination. Your moments of challenge do not oppose your enlightenment. They sculpt its finest details. When you embrace this truth, resistance dissolves into recognition. Leon Fur discovered this wisdom through the crucible of personal loss. His heart, cracked open by grief, became a vessel for something unexpected, a compassion so profound it transformed his entire being. Through his experience, he realized that what appeared as suffering was actually an initiation into deeper love. The universe operates through complementary forces, not opposing ones. Like the inhale needs the exhale, like the tide must both advance and retreat, your journey requires the full rhythm of experience. Each contrast you encounter serves as a messenger, bringing gifts of greater clarity. When you perceive difficulty, you stand before a doorway to expanded consciousness. The very presence of shadow indicates light's existence. In this understanding lies liberation. You need not wage war against life's darker tones. Instead, recognize them as the artists of depth in your spiritual vision. The 33rd degree teaches that mastery comes not from eliminating contrast, but from transmuting it into wisdom. Every experience that touches your life arrives as a teacher, offering precise calibration for your spiritual instruments. The darkness does not diminish your light. It reveals its true intensity. Sacred practice. Each evening, set aside 7 minutes for the ritual of sacred contrast. Recall a challenging moment from your day. Place your hands over your heart and whisper, "I bless this contrast as my teacher." Feel how this acceptance transforms the energy of the experience. Notice how blessing what appears as opposition actually refines your capacity for joy. Continue this practice until you recognize every shadow as a sacred sculptor of your enlightenment. Chapter 37. The River of Memory. Along the ancient riverbank, where time itself seemed to flow with the waters, Irma Luke discovered a truth that had eluded scholars and seekers for generations. As she walked beside the meandering stream, its crystalline surface reflected more than just the physical world. It mirrored the eternal dance of consciousness across the ages. The waters before you hold more than their visible substance. Within each droplet swirls the accumulated wisdom of existence itself. Water, in its perfect fluidity, retains the impressions of all it has witnessed, all it has touched. Like a living record keeper, it stores within its molecular memory the songs, stories, and sacred knowledge of times long past. When you approach water with reverence, you activate its capacity to reveal these hidden treasures. The surface tension between past and present dissolves, allowing ancient wisdom to rise into your awareness. This is not mere metaphor. It is the literal truth of water's divine function as the universe's memory keeper. Henry Tan discovered this profound reality one dawn as he knelt by a clear pool. As his fingers touched the cool surface, something extraordinary occurred. Fragments of peace, not from his own experience, but from countless souls who had found solace in water's embrace, began to filter into his consciousness. The serenity he felt was both ancient and immediate, transcending the boundaries of individual existence. This reveals a fundamental principle. Your consciousness is not confined to your present form. It flows, like water, through the vast expanse of existence. The memories you access by the waterside are not foreign to you. They are your own heritage, your spiritual inheritance, waiting to be reclaimed. The water before you serves as a living bridge between what seems lost and what remains eternal. Every river, stream, and ocean carries within it the complete story of creation. When you learn to listen with your soul's ears, these waters speak of truths that transcend time itself. This knowing surpasses intellectual understanding. It requires a different kind of attention, one that merges your awareness with the fluid nature of existence itself. As you observe water's movement, you begin to perceive how consciousness similarly flows, unbound by the artificial constraints of linear time. Ancient practice. Find a source of water, be it a stream, lake, or even a simple bowl. Sit in quietude beside it. Allow your breath to synchronize with its subtle movements. As you gaze upon its surface, release the notion of time as a rigid line. Feel yourself opening to the timeless wisdom held within each ripple. Listen not with your ears, but with your entire being, as ancestral memories rise like gentle bubbles to the surface of awareness. Let the water teach you what your soul already knows, but your mind has forgotten. Chapter 38. The Garden of Frequency. In a secluded valley among ancient hills, Nina Yas tended a garden unlike any other. Each morning she would walk among her flowers, not with watering can or pruning shears, but carrying only her voice. She discovered that roses opened wider when she hummed in gentle thirds, while lilies reached skyward to meet precise octaves. Through patient observation, she uncovered the hidden law. Every living thing responds to specific vibrations that call forth its highest expression. This revelation extends far beyond the realm of flowers. All of creation, seen and unseen, moves according to frequency. Your thoughts, emotions, and spoken words generate vibrational patterns that shape the very substance of your reality. Like Nina's garden, your life responds to the tones you consistently offer. The universe operates as an infinite symphony, each element resonating at its unique pitch. When you understand this principle, you begin to see that manifestation is not about force or will, but about achieving harmonic alignment. Your role is to maintain the frequency that matches your desired creation. Consider Wojciech Eli, who discovered this truth in his modest herb garden. Rather than focusing on external techniques, he began singing quietly to his plants each evening. The herbs responded not just with increased growth, but with intensified fragrance, proof that consciousness communes with matter through the bridge of sound. His garden became living testimony that environment mirrors the energetic signature of its keeper. This ancient wisdom reveals why some spaces feel naturally uplifting while others seem to drain energy. Every location carries the accumulated frequency of the thoughts and emotions consistently expressed there. Your home, workplace, and personal spaces resonate with the vibrational patterns you maintain. The power of frequency extends into every aspect of existence. Relationships flourish or fade based on the emotional tones you transmit. Opportunities appear or dissolve according to the vibration of your expectations. Health responds to the harmony or discord of your inner state. You are, in essence, a master gardener of frequency. Each thought you nurture, each feeling you sustain, each word you speak, plants seeds that must grow true to their vibrational pattern. Understanding this transforms you from passive participant to conscious conductor of life's symphony. Sacred practice. Choose one area of your life you wish to nurture. Find a quiet moment each day to sit near this aspect, whether it be your workspace, a relationship photograph, or symbol of your aspiration. Begin humming or singing a tone that expresses pure gratitude. Let this sound arise naturally from your heart without forcing or structuring it. Maintain this harmonious expression for several minutes, imagining your appreciation as nurturing light surrounding your chosen focus. Trust that the frequency of genuine thankfulness contains exactly the vibration needed for optimal growth. Chapter 39. The Crown of Adaptability. In the heart of an ancient valley, where seasons painted the landscape in ever-changing hues, lived a woman named Irina Waz. Each shift in weather, each unexpected turn of events would fill her heart with unease. She built walls of routine around herself, seeking shelter from life's flowing nature, until the day she witnessed a remarkable sight that transformed her understanding forever. At dawn, she observed a towering tree dancing with a fierce wind. While smaller, rigid branches snapped and fell, the great limbs swayed in graceful surrender, growing stronger through their flexibility. In that moment, a truth as old as creation itself awakened within her. The divine force moves in eternal patterns of change, and true power lies in flowing with this sacred motion rather than resisting it. You, too, may recognize how the universe speaks through continuous transformation. Every breath you take participates in this cosmic dance, the inhalation different from the last, each moment offering a fresh invitation to merge with life's flowing nature. When you embrace this truth, fear of change dissolves into wonder at the infinite possibilities unfolding before you. Felix Saab discovered this wisdom while tending his merchant stalls in the market square. Rather than clutching firmly to his plans when the wind scattered his goods, he smiled and rearranged his display with each gust. Soon, customers were drawn to his peaceful presence amid chaos, and his prosperity grew not despite disruption, but because of his harmonious response to it. The universe teaches this principle through every leaf that turns with the breeze, every cloud that shapes itself to the wind. Rigidity breaks under pressure, while flexibility allows strength to flow unimpeded. This is not mere survival strategy, but divine alignment, for the Creator's nature is one of infinite adaptability, expressing itself through endless forms and constant renewal. When you resist change, you stand against the very force that breathes life into existence. Yet when you move in rhythm with transformation, you discover that stability emerges not from unchanging circumstances, but from your ability to flow gracefully through all conditions. Like water taking the shape of any vessel while retaining its essential nature, your consciousness can remain clear and peaceful while adapting to life's ever-shifting landscape. Practice. Find a quiet space where you can move freely. Close your eyes and imagine yourself as a graceful reed by the riverside. As thoughts or sensations arise, sway gently with them rather than bracing against their arrival. Let your body respond naturally, as if each change is inviting you to join an elegant dance. Continue until you feel your resistance dissolving into fluid acceptance of each moment's offering. As you move through your days, return to this sensation of gentle responsiveness whenever change appears at your door. Chapter 40. The Hall of Mirrors. In the realm between sleeping and waking, where wisdom often reveals its deepest truths, a tale unfolds that speaks to the very nature of your reality. Within this sacred space, walking through corridors of infinite reflection, you will discover how the world mirrors the vibrations you emanate. Long ago, in a monastery among ancient peaks, Magdalore entered a meditation that transported her consciousness into a remarkable passageway. Here, countless mirrors lined the walls, yet none showed her physical form. Instead, each surface reflected the subtle energies of her emotional state. Her fears appeared as storm clouds, her joy as golden light, her doubt as shifting shadows. As she moved through this mystical corridor, Magda observed how each mirror responded instantaneously to the slightest shift in her inner state. When anxiety arose, the reflections darkened. When peace filled her heart, they shimmered with ethereal radiance. Through this experience, she grasped a fundamental truth. The outer world perpetually mirrors your inner vibrational state. This teaching carries profound implications for your journey of manifestation. Just as Magda's emotions were displayed in those dream mirrors, your current reality reflects the predominant frequencies you maintain within. Every circumstance, every encounter, every apparent coincidence, all mirror back to you the vibration you hold in your consciousness. Consider the experience of Raphael Deck, who discovered this principle through his own unique passage. Sitting in contemplation before a mirror, he noticed how the reflection seemed to shift as his emotional state changed. When he deliberately cultivated inner calm, the mirror's surface appeared to soften, eventually dissolving into pure light. Through this practice, he learned that outer circumstances naturally transform as inner harmony increases. The universe operates as an infinite hall of mirrors, each reflection precisely calibrated to your inner frequency. What you perceive as external reality is actually a living feedback system, continuously showing you the vibrational tone you maintain within. When you encounter circumstances you wish to change, the key lies not in attempting to alter the reflection, but in adjusting the inner signal being reflected. This wisdom reveals why forcing external change often proves futile. Like trying to adjust your image by touching the mirror's surface, manipulating outer conditions without shifting inner frequency creates only temporary effects. True transformation occurs when you modify the source vibration, your own consciousness. Sacred practice. When you encounter reflections in your life that you find challenging or unpleasant, pause and recognize them as mirrors of internal frequencies. Rather than reacting with resistance, bless these reflections with understanding and compassion. See them as messengers revealing aspects of consciousness ready for transformation. Continue this blessing practice until you notice the reflection beginning to soften and shift, revealing the pure light of awareness that lies behind all manifestation. Let this light remind you of your power to adjust the inner tone that the universe so faithfully mirrors back to you. Act 5. The Harmonic Descent of Light. Chapter 41. The Flame of Devotion. In a humble dwelling at the edge of the ancient forest, Iguerée maintained a sacred practice. Each evening, as shadows lengthened across worn floorboards, she would light a single candle. Though her heart felt empty of prayer and her spirit weighted with doubt, her hands remained steady in this ritual. Day after day she honored this commitment, even when its meaning seemed lost in the mists of uncertainty. The universe speaks through persistence. When words fail and emotions dim, the unwavering gesture of devotion becomes its own language. Through consistent reverence, faith regenerates itself, not as a burst of emotion, but as quiet certainty born of dedication. This truth emerges not from passionate declaration, but from steady attention to small sacred acts. Within the depths of consciousness, each repeated gesture of reverence creates an anchor point of stability. Your devotion need not thunder with conviction. It asks only for your presence, your willingness to show up even when inspiration feels distant. The flame you tend becomes a bridge between the visible and invisible realms. Conrad Pye discovered this wisdom in his own way. Each morning he would tend to a small flame, not with grandiose ceremony, but with simple attention. Days passed without apparent change, yet he continued. Gradually, he noticed a subtle shift, not in the flame itself, but in the quality of silence that surrounded it. The practice had created a sanctuary of stillness where insight could bloom naturally, without force or strain. The flame teaches that transformation often comes not through dramatic gesture, but through patient devotion. Each small act of reverence builds upon the last, creating a foundation of spiritual stability that sustains you through times of doubt and clarity alike. This is the hidden power of ritual. It holds your frequency steady when emotions and circumstances fluctuate. In this modern age, you may question the value of such simple devotion. Yet the wisdom remains. Consistent sacred practice creates a channel through which divine energy can flow reliably. The size of the gesture matters far less than its regularity. Whether lighting a candle, offering a bow, or speaking a single word of gratitude, the power lies in the unwavering commitment to show up. Ancient practice. Choose one small gesture of reverence that resonates with your spirit. It might be lighting a candle, placing a flower in a vase, or simply pausing for a moment of silence. Perform this practice at the same time each day, without expectation or demand. Let the simplicity of the act become its own prayer. Continue this practice for 40 days, allowing the energy of devotion to build naturally through your consistent attention. Chapter 42. The Bridge of Forgiveness. In the quiet valleys where wisdom whispers its deepest secrets, Marta Sin carried the weight of an ancient hurt. Each morning she would wake to find her body growing heavier, her movements more restricted, until pain became her constant companion. The physicians could find no cause, yet the truth lay written in the very cells of her being. Resentment had become physical form. You see, the body speaks the language of the heart with perfect fidelity. When you hold on to grievance, it creates a magnetic field of disharmony that gradually reorganizes your physical structure. Like iron filings aligning with a magnet, your cells arrange themselves according to the pattern of your thoughts. The wisdom keepers of old understood this sublime connection between forgiveness and vitality. They knew that each grudge we harbor creates an energetic knot in our electromagnetic field, disrupting the natural flow of life force through our being. These distortions accumulate over time, manifesting as physical limitations, emotional heaviness, and spiritual stagnation. Consider the transformation of Piotr Les, who carried the burden of childhood betrayal for 30 years. The weight of this unresolved pain had dimmed his eyes and stooped his shoulders. Yet in one moment of grace, he chose to release his grip on this ancient wound. As he spoke words of forgiveness toward his long-ago friend, something extraordinary occurred. Vitality rushed back into his being like a spring river breaking through winter ice. This is no mere coincidence. When you forgive, you dissolve the electromagnetic distortions created by held resentment. The field of your being naturally returns to its original coherence, like a pond settling into perfect stillness after turbulence. This realignment allows life force to flow unimpeded through your system once again. The universe operates through perfect correspondence between inner and outer states. Forgiveness is not merely an emotional or spiritual act. It is a force that reorganizes matter itself. When you release another from the bonds of your judgment, you simultaneously release yourself from the physical manifestations of that energetic contraction. Think of forgiveness as a frequency rather than an action. It vibrates at the level of pure love, where separation dissolves and unity is revealed. When you raise your field to this frequency, healing becomes inevitable because you have removed the underlying pattern of discord. The ancient practice. Find a quiet space where you will remain undisturbed. Close your eyes and bring to mind someone toward whom you hold resentment. Visualize a bridge of pure golden light extending from your heart toward theirs. This bridge represents the truth that you are both expressions of the same divine consciousness. See yourself slowly walking across this bridge, releasing each heavy thought with every step. Feel the lightness entering your being as you move closer to complete freedom. When you reach the other side, turn and watch your grudges dissolve into the light of the bridge itself. Know that in this moment of release, you have restored your electromagnetic field to its natural state of coherence and vitality. Let this practice be your daily meditation until you feel the last traces of resentment dissolve into the light of understanding. Your physical form will follow the pattern of your forgiveness, returning to its natural state of vibrant well-being. Chapter 43. The Architect of Destiny. In the quiet hours before dawn, Olga Maj stood before her unfinished sculptures, understanding at last that each choice shaped not only stone but the invisible architecture of tomorrow. Her hands traced the marble surface, sensing how every decision to cut or preserve altered the final form, just as each thought designs the blueprint of becoming. Through years of working stone, she discovered that creation flows not from rigid plans, but from the dialogue between vision and material. When she forced her will too strongly, the marble resisted and cracked. Yet, when she listened to the stone's inherent nature while holding her intention steady, forms emerged with natural grace. The universe operates by these same principles. Your thoughts carve channels through which possibility flows. Yet the art lies in balancing clear intention with gentle acceptance. Like a sculptor who knows when to strike decisively and when to step back and observe, you must learn to shape your destiny with both conviction and flexibility. Henrik Pell understood this truth through his daily practice of conscious creation. Each morning, he would sit in stillness and carefully redraw the blueprints of his desired reality. He noticed that when he revised his visions with patience and persistence, external circumstances began to mirror his inner adjustments. His life became a living reflection of his most consistent thoughts. The power to author your destiny carries profound responsibility. Each thought ripples through the fabric of possibility. Each feeling sends waves through the ocean of potential. You are not merely watching the story of your life unfold. You are writing it with every choice, every focus, every sustained imagination. This sacred duty requires neither force nor strain. Like water wearing smooth paths through stone, your consistent vision naturally carves channels for manifestation. The key lies not in struggling to control outcomes, but in maintaining clear pictures of desired results while allowing the universe to arrange the details. Consider how an architect designs with both precision and spaciousness. The plans must be exact, yet they must also allow room for natural adaptation. Similarly, your vision should be specific enough to guide manifestation, while remaining flexible enough to accommodate divine refinement. Your thoughts are the chisel, your emotions the hammer that strikes it. When both align in steady rhythm, reality takes shape according to your design. Yet this shaping occurs not through aggressive force, but through patient, persistent attention to the patterns you wish to create. The temple of your tomorrow stands before you now, its form still fluid in the realm of potential. With each focused thought, each intentional feeling, you carve its features from the marble of possibility. This is not mere metaphor, but the actual mechanism by which consciousness creates reality. Practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and begin to mentally sketch the reality you wish to create. See it with the precision of an architect's drawings. Feel it with the sensitivity of a sculptor's hands. Layer by layer, add detail and depth until the vision resonates with emotional clarity. Hold this design in your consciousness until you feel it anchoring into the substance of creation. Return to this practice daily, allowing your vision to become increasingly refined and your feeling of its reality more profound. Chapter 44. The Jewel of Calm Power. In an age when voices competed to be heard and force seemed to rule all encounters, Zelda Rin carried a misconception common to many souls, that gentleness signified weakness. Like countless others before her, She believed power resided in raised voices and firm stances. Yet the universe prepared to teach her otherwise through the subtle language of experience. As merchant of rare textiles, Zelda often found herself amid heated negotiations. One particularly volatile morning, when a customer's anger threatened to erupt into chaos, she discovered something extraordinary. Instead of matching the rising tension with her own defensive energy, exhaustion led her to simply remain still. To her amazement, the space around her began to shift. The customer's hostility, finding no resistance, gradually dissolved into calm. This moment revealed a profound truth that has echoed through the ages. True power lies not in what is expended, but in what is contained. Like a still lake that holds enormous potential energy, or a diamond formed under pressure yet remaining clear and unperturbed, calmness represents power in its most concentrated form. You see this principle illustrated in the experience of Marek Sut, whose story has been passed down through generations. When surrounded by a crowd inflamed with anger, he chose to remain in absolute silence. Rather than attempting to overpower the chaos, he became like a center of gravity around which the storm of emotions eventually settled. His stillness proved more potent than any show of force could have been. The universe operates through this law of conservation. The less energy scattered in reaction, the more power available for transformation. Think of the difference between a scattered handful of sand and a crystallized gemstone. Both contain the same elements, yet one has become concentrated into clarity and strength through perfect stillness. This ancient wisdom reveals that serenity is not passive, but rather represents the highest form of power. When you maintain inner calm amid external turbulence, you access a frequency of energy that operates above the level of conflict. Like the eye of a storm, this centered stillness creates a field of peace that naturally harmonizes discord around it. Your journey toward mastery requires understanding that power need not announce itself with noise and movement. The most profound influence often manifests through perfect poise, the ability to remain unmoved while affecting everything in your sphere. Ancient practice. Sit in perfect stillness, imagining yourself as a flawless crystal. When facing any turbulent situation, return to this crystalline clarity within. Rather than reacting, maintain your inner polish and watch as external circumstances begin to reflect your composed state. Practice this gem-like serenity until it becomes your natural response to all disturbance. Chapter 45. The Choir of Intuition. Along a winding path through ancient woods, Rita Paw discovered a truth that would transform her understanding of guidance. Each time she faced a choice, she noticed a subtle melody arising within, not in words or thoughts, but as a delicate music that preceded all reasoning. Like wind through leaves, these inner songs whispered the way forward before her mind could analyze the path. This celestial music of the soul speaks in tones too fine for the physical ear, yet unmistakable to the awakened heart. You possess this same internal symphony, though you may have forgotten how to hear it. Beneath the clamor of logic and the noise of endless analysis, a perfect guidance system awaits your recognition. The wisdom encoded in these subtle frequencies arrives fully formed, requiring no debate or discussion. It manifests as a gentle knowing, a quiet certainty that precedes all mental activity. This is the voice of your higher self, singing through the medium of pure intuition. Emil Saab discovered this truth during a time of profound uncertainty. Rather than wrestling with endless pros and cons, he began attending to the first soft note that arose in any situation. This initial whisper, he found, contained complete wisdom, though his mind often rushed to complicate its simple clarity. As he learned to trust these subtle melodies, life began orchestrating perfect synchronicities around him. What appears as coincidence to the logical mind reveals itself as cosmic harmony when you attune to intuitive frequencies. The universe operates through resonance, not reason. Your inner music aligns naturally with the symphony of existence, conducting circumstances into elegant arrangements that no amount of planning could achieve. This knowing beyond knowledge speaks in the space before thought takes shape. It requires no validation or verification, for it carries the authority of direct perception. When you learn to trust this first gentle note, you tap into a guidance system as natural as a bird's sense of direction or a flower's knowledge of when to bloom. The mind seeks proofs and guarantees, but intuition operates through immediate recognition. It arrives as a complete download of understanding, often accompanied by a physical sensation of rightness or a subtle inner chime of confirmation. This is your soul's native language, the voice of wisdom speaking directly through feeling. Sacred practice. Each morning, before engaging with the day's decisions, enter a space of quiet receptivity. Allow the first gentle note of guidance to arise naturally, without forcing or seeking. Notice the quality of this initial impulse before mental analysis begins. Practice trusting this subtle song, following its lead without demanding logical justification. Let your intuition conduct the symphony of your life, knowing that the first soft whisper contains complete wisdom. Chapter 46. The Lamp of Service. In the heart of a bustling marketplace, Isla Gray spent her mornings serving tea to weary travelers. Though she had dedicated years to spiritual practices in solitude, it was through this simple act of service that she discovered a profound truth. Each cup offered with pure intention seemed to clarify not only the recipient's energy but her own. Within the ancient wisdom traditions lies a paradox that reveals itself through selfless action. While meditation and contemplation illuminate the inner path, it is through service to others that consciousness finds its highest refinement. The universe operates through an eternal dance of giving and receiving, where every genuine act of kindness creates ripples of harmony that transform both giver and receiver. The law governing this mystical exchange reveals that service acts as an alchemical force, transmuting the dense energies of ego into pure light. When you extend yourself beyond personal concerns to ease another's journey, something remarkable occurs. Your own frequency naturally elevates. This is not theory, but living truth, demonstrated countless times through the ages. Stefan Locke embodied this principle through anonymous donations to those in need. He sought no recognition, understanding that purity of intention magnifies impact. As his giving increased, he noticed an inexplicable expansion in his own resources. The universe seemed to mirror his generosity, multiplying abundance in unexpected ways. This was not mere coincidence, but demonstration of an eternal law. What flows out returns amplified. Service polishes the lamp of consciousness until it shines with increasing brightness. Each selfless act removes another layer of separation between self and divine. The ego's static, its constant need for recognition and reward, gradually dissolves in the face of pure giving. What remains is clear, coherent light expressing through human form. This truth extends beyond material giving. A smile freely given, a moment of genuine listening, a silent blessing sent to a stranger, all are forms of service that refine your vibration. The key lies not in the magnitude of the act, but in the purity of intention behind it. Sacred practice. Each day, perform one act of kindness without seeking acknowledgement or reward. It need not be grand, perhaps leaving an anonymous note of encouragement, quietly clearing another's path, or sending silent blessings to those you encounter. As you give, maintain awareness that the universe observes and replicates your gesture in ways beyond your knowing. Let your service be a lamp lighting the way for others while simultaneously illuminating your own path to higher consciousness. Chapter 47. The Path of Sequencing. In the ancient mountains, where time flows like honey from a celestial comb, lived a weaver named Petrajal. Each morning, she would sit at her loom, watching the intricate patterns emerge thread by thread. Those who passed by her window often urged her to weave faster, promising to pay more for quick completion. Yet Petra understood a truth as old as the mountains themselves. Creation follows its own sacred rhythm. When you align with the natural sequence of manifestation, you tap into the universe's perfect timing. Like a flower that must first root deeply before reaching toward the sun, every desire follows divine order. Those who attempt to harvest before the season of ripening find only bitter fruit. The law of sequence governs all creation. Just as spring cannot precede winter, nor can the oak manifest before the acorn, your desires unfold according to cosmic mathematics. Each step builds upon the foundation of the last, creating a harmonious progression that cannot be rushed or altered. Christian Des, a humble potter, discovered this wisdom through patient observation. For years, he had struggled to create the perfect vessel, forcing the clay before its time. Until one day, watching a river carve its path through stone, he realized the power of natural timing. He began to work in harmony with the clay's own rhythm, kneading only when it reached the right consistency, throwing only when the moisture balanced perfectly, firing only when the piece had dried completely. His masterpieces emerged not through force, but through synchronicity with natural law. The vessels he created possessed a beauty that spoke of time-honored patience, each one manifesting at precisely the right moment. This wisdom speaks to every aspect of creation. When you honor the sequence, you align with the universe's perfect order. Each stage of manifestation serves its purpose. The seeking prepares for finding. The waiting cultivates wisdom. The apparent delays weave strength into the final form. Many rush toward their desires like children grasping at butterflies, only to find fulfillment slipping through their fingers. The masters know that manifestation, like a symphony, requires each note to sound in its appointed time. What appears as delay often serves as divine protection, allowing necessary elements to align before the moment of culmination. Your role is not to force the universe's hand, but to trust its impeccable timing. When you honor the sequence of creation, you enter the flow of natural law. Each stage, whether perceived as progress or pause, serves the wholeness of your manifestation. Ancient practice of sacred sequencing. Sit quietly and observe the rhythm of your breath. Notice how each inhalation naturally follows each exhalation, neither hurried nor delayed. As you witness this perfect timing, extend your awareness to your current desires. Rather than pushing for immediate fulfillment, practice celebrating each stage of their unfolding. Recognize delays as periods of preparation, challenges as strengthening of foundation. Trust that each phase, however incomplete it may seem, forms a vital chapter in your manifestation's perfect sequence. Chapter 48. The Secret Listener. In a hidden valley where ancient cedars whispered their wisdom, Anya Tor spent countless hours in fervent prayer, beseeching the heavens for answers. Day after day, she poured out her heart, until exhaustion finally stilled her words. In that unexpected silence, she discovered something remarkable. When her voice ceased, another voice emerged, subtle yet unmistakable. Your relationship with the divine exists beyond the realm of words. While prayer holds its sacred place, there comes a moment when speaking must yield to listening. The universe constantly broadcasts its messages of guidance, comfort, and direction. These messages flow like an eternal stream, yet they can only be received when the waters of your own thoughts grow still. The art of spiritual listening transcends mere hearing. It requires a particular quality of presence, one that emerges when you release the need to direct, control, or understand. This deeper listening occurs not through your ears, but through your entire being. It is a state of receptivity where your whole existence becomes an antenna for divine wisdom. Waldeck Prue discovered this truth during his morning walks. One day, instead of filling the silence with his usual requests and affirmations, he simply opened himself to the vastness around him. To his amazement, he found that the universe was already in constant communication. Through the rhythm of his footsteps, the pattern of shadows on his path, and the subtle promptings in his heart. The dialogue had always been there. He had simply been too busy speaking to notice. The highest form of prayer is not speaking, but receiving. When you truly listen, you enter a state of communion with the infinite. In this sacred space, questions dissolve before answers can be formed, and guidance arrives with the naturalness of breathing. The universe responds not to your words, but to your willingness to receive. This shift from petition to reception marks a crucial evolution in spiritual awareness. It is the moment when you recognize that all you seek already exists within the silence. The divine speaks most clearly, not when you are reaching, but when you are opening. Not when you are asking, but when you are allowing. Ancient practice. Find a space where you can be undisturbed. Sit or lie comfortably and allow your awareness to settle into silence. Rather than filling this silence with your thoughts or requests, simply open yourself to receive. Imagine your entire being as a sensitive instrument, attuned to the subtle frequencies of universal wisdom. Feel the friendly vastness that surrounds you, always ready to respond. Rest in this receptive state, knowing that true answers come not through seeking, but through allowing yourself to be found. Chapter 49. The Spiral of Renewal. In a hidden mountain sanctuary, a young woman discovered a spiral staircase ascending through the mist. Each step brought her to a vantage point that seemed familiar, yet somehow elevated. This was the path Carol Den walked, understanding that wisdom unfolds not in straight lines, but in sacred spirals. Each time Carol completed a turn of the spiral, she encountered the same view transformed by her heightened perspective. What appeared as repetition revealed itself as renewal, each cycle bringing deeper insight into eternal truths. The universe, she realized, teaches not through linear progression, but through spiraling evolution. You stand now at such a turning point, ready to perceive the sacred geometry of growth. The circumstances that seem to repeat in your life are not mere cycles, but ascending spirals carrying you to higher understanding. Each turn presents familiar lessons viewed from an elevated consciousness. When you embrace this pattern, you recognize that returning to previous teachings does not indicate failure or stagnation. Instead, it marks your readiness to extract deeper wisdom from what you thought you already knew. The same books you read years ago now speak with new voices. The same challenges you faced before now offer different gifts. Ren Zhayu discovered this truth while studying ancient texts. Returning to passages he had read countless times, he found revelations previously invisible to his understanding. Each reading spiraled him upward, though the words remained unchanged. The difference lay not in the teaching, but in his expanded capacity to receive. This principle governs all spiritual unfoldment. What appears as circular movement actually traces an upward spiral. You may revisit old situations, but you meet them with new awareness. Previous limitations transform into launching points for higher understanding. The spiral nature of growth ensures that no experience is truly repeated. Each turn elevates your perception. Your journey follows this divine architecture. When old patterns resurface, view them not as setbacks, but as opportunities for deeper integration. The universe brings you back to certain lessons not to test you, but to reveal new facets of truth that your consciousness is now prepared to grasp. Ancient practice. Choose a familiar spiritual truth or teaching that has guided you in the past. Sit in quietness and contemplate it as if encountering it for the first time. Notice what new insights emerge from this perspective. Record these revelations, noting how your understanding has spiraled upward, though the truth itself remains constant. Continue this practice with other familiar wisdom, discovering how each return brings fresh illumination. Chapter 50. The Voice of Symbolic Dream. In a time beyond memory, Julia Radd lay sleeping beneath an open window when streams of light began writing messages across the night sky. These celestial letters spoke in a language her waking mind could not comprehend, yet her soul understood perfectly. Upon awakening, she discovered that ordinary objects, a fallen leaf, a pattern of clouds, a chance encounter, now carried profound significance. The universe had begun speaking to her through the language of symbols. The wisdom passed down through ages teaches that dreams serve as bridges between the seen and unseen realms. When you sleep, your consciousness ascends to planes where truth needs no words. Here, the higher aspects of your being communicate through a tapestry of symbols, metaphors, and feelings that transcend ordinary understanding. Just as water shapes itself to any vessel while retaining its essential nature, dreams adapt universal wisdom into forms your mind can grasp. Each symbol in your dreams carries multiple layers of meaning, precisely calibrated to your current understanding and needs. A door might represent an opportunity, while water often speaks of emotional currents. yet their true significance emerges uniquely for each dreamer. Consider the tale of Alex Poss, who began recording his nighttime visions in a simple journal. At first, the images seemed random: a golden key, a white dove, an ancient tree. Yet as he faithfully documented these nocturnal messages, patterns emerged. The key appeared before opportunities for advancement. The dove preceded peaceful resolutions, and the tree heralded periods of profound growth. By honoring these symbolic communications, Alex found himself guided precisely toward his highest good. Your dreams speak in the original language of the soul, pure symbol and metaphor. This is why the great mysteries have always been transmitted through symbolic stories rather than direct instruction. The symbol bypasses the analytical mind and plants understanding directly in fertile soil of intuitive knowing. When you begin paying attention to your dreams, you activate an ancient channel of communication with your higher self. The guidance you receive comes perfectly tailored to your path, encoded in images that will gradually reveal their meaning as you develop the eyes to see and the ears to hear. Ancient practice. Keep a journal by your bedside. Upon waking, immediately record any dreams you remember, focusing on the feelings and symbols rather than trying to interpret them. Write without judgment or analysis, capturing the experience as purely as possible. Later in the day, return to your notes with quiet contemplation, allowing your intuition to reveal deeper meanings. Trust that the wisdom carried in these night visions will unfold naturally as you continue this sacred practice of dream correspondence. Act 6. The Eternal Resonance of Mastery. Chapter 51. The Thread of Compassion. In a small mountain village, Helena Sum spent her days tending to those who struggled. At first, she approached their pain from a distance, seeing only their misfortunes and feeling sorry for their circumstances. Yet, as seasons passed, something within her shifted. A veil lifted from her eyes. She began to recognize that the suffering she witnessed was not separate from her own heart's journey. In that recognition, true healing began to flow. You stand at this same threshold of understanding. The wisdom of ages whispers that compassion differs from pity as sunlight differs from shadow. When you pity another, you remain apart, looking down from a height of presumed superiority. But when compassion awakens, the illusion of separation dissolves. You recognize yourself in every face, every story, every struggle. This truth runs like a golden thread through the tapestry of existence. Your heart beats in perfect rhythm with all others, each pulse a reminder of your fundamental unity with life itself. The universe operates not through division but through wholeness, and your awareness of this truth activates healing frequencies that ripple outward through the fabric of reality. Yet this journey begins within. Before you can truly extend compassion to others, you must first embrace your own heart with tender understanding. Your perceived flaws, your struggles, your moments of doubt, these are not barriers to overcome, but gateways to deeper wisdom. As you learn to hold your own experiences with gentle acceptance, your capacity to embrace others expands naturally. Joseph Kinn discovered this truth through the simple act of listening. When others spoke of their troubles, he resisted the urge to correct or advise. Instead, he offered the gift of his complete presence, creating a space where healing could unfold on its own. Through this practice, he witnessed how both hearts, listener and speaker, would rise together, lifted by the invisible wings of shared understanding. The power of compassion lies not in fixing or changing others, but in recognizing the divine spark that burns equally in all hearts. When you truly see this, judgment falls away like autumn leaves, revealing the eternal spring of unity beneath. Your role is not to rescue others from their path, but to walk beside them with an open heart, knowing that each step taken together elevates the whole. Practice. Sit quietly and bring awareness to your own heart. Begin by extending compassion to yourself, embracing all aspects of your being with unconditional acceptance. Feel this warmth expanding naturally outward, touching those closest to you, then reaching further to encompass all beings. Notice how boundaries begin to soften and dissolve in the light of this universal love. Let this practice continue until you sense the truth that all hearts beat as one. Chapter 52. The Chamber of Vision. In a remote monastery garden, Silva Daub discovered a hidden meditation chamber. Within its sacred walls, she observed gossamer images floating like delicate silk in still air, visions of what was yet to be. Through patient observation, she learned that these ethereal pictures preceded physical manifestation, much as lightning precedes thunder. You too possess such an inner sanctum, a sacred space where reality first takes shape before emerging into the visible world. This chamber lies not in stone and mortar, but in the vast cathedral of your consciousness. Here, in this hallowed space, your thoughts weave the tapestry of tomorrow. The universe operates through a divine sequence, first in mind, then in matter. Your imagination is not mere fantasy, but rather the womb where physical experience gestates. When you enter this inner chamber with reverence, treating each vision as sacred potential, you participate in the primary act of creation. Henry Wynne understood this profound truth. When his friend fell ill, he retreated daily to his inner sanctuary. There, with unwavering focus, he held a crystal-clear image of vibrant health. He saw color returning to pale cheeks, strength flowing through weakened limbs, and vitality sparking in dim eyes. He maintained this vision with the patience of a guardian keeping vigil. Days turned to weeks, and gradually, the physical body began mirroring the template he held in mind. This is not wishful thinking, but rather the operation of cosmic law. When you enter your inner chamber with awareness, you step into the workshop where reality is sculpted. Here, the boundaries between thought and form dissolve. Your focused attention becomes the chisel that shapes circumstance. The key lies in approaching this practice with reverence. Treat each visualization as a sacred act of co-creation with the divine. Your inner sight, when properly aligned, becomes one with the vision of the infinite. Through this unified seeing, possibility transforms into probability, and probability into manifestation. Remember, the physical world responds not to desperate pleading, but to unwavering vision. When you hold an image with steady devotion in your inner chamber, you create a magnetic field that draws corresponding circumstances into being. Like a master artist who sees the finished masterpiece while facing a blank canvas, you must cultivate the ability to perceive completion before its physical appearance. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, imagining yourself entering your inner sanctuary. Here, in this sacred chamber, Visualize your desired outcome with crystalline clarity. Observe every detail, every nuance, as if watching a living photograph. Feel the reality of your vision, not as a distant hope, but as an existing truth awaiting physical expression. Hold this image until you sense its inevitability in your very cells. Let your entire being resonate with the certainty of its manifestation. Practice this daily, treating each session as a sacred appointment with the creative force of the universe. Chapter 53. The Song of Return. In the quiet mountains where ancient paths wind through mist-covered peaks, Ermelez walked the same trail each dawn. As seasons turned, she noticed how the circular route always brought her back to where she began, yet with renewed vision. Each return revealed layers of meaning previously unseen, as if the path itself was a teacher sharing its wisdom through repetition. The greatest truth lies in this eternal circulation. All paths of seeking ultimately lead to the same divine center. Like countless streams flowing toward one vast ocean, every spiritual journey guides the soul back to its source. This is the profound simplicity that eludes so many seekers. The destination has always been the starting point. When you embark on the path of awakening, you may imagine yourself moving forward in a straight line toward some distant goal. Yet the deeper wisdom reveals that spiritual progress moves in circles, each cycle bringing you closer to the truth that has always resided within. This is not mere repetition, but spiral evolution, returning again and again to fundamental principles with expanded understanding. Pavelcher's journey exemplifies this truth. He traveled across continents seeking wisdom from masters and mystics, only to discover that each teaching pointed him back to himself. In a moment of perfect clarity, he realized that what he sought in far temples and sacred sites had been waiting patiently in his own heart. His greatest revelation was not found in exotic wisdom, but in recognizing himself as both seeker and sought. The universe operates through this principle of eternal return. Each breath completes a circle, giving and receiving. Each thought ripples outward only to echo back. Each act of love creates a resonance that returns multiplied. This is not a closing of possibilities, but an opening to infinite potential within the perfect circle of being. You need not journey far to find what you seek. The divine center is not a distant point, but the still axis around which all experience turns. Every step you take, whether forward or backward, leads to this unchanging core. Your daily life, with all its seeming mundane moments, is the sacred path chosen by eternity for your awakening. Sacred practice. Begin each morning by acknowledging that you stand at the center of a sacred circle. As you move through your day, recognize that every experience, from the simplest task to the most challenging encounter, is guiding you back to this essential truth. Welcome each moment as a teacher, knowing that in its perfect design lies the path of return. Let your breath become a reminder that all movement leads back to stillness, all seeking leads back to being, all wisdom leads back to the heart's own knowing. Chapter 54. The Circle Completed. In the rare moment when both sun and moon shared the vast canvas of sky, Eliza Mott uncovered a truth that had eluded humanity's grasp. Standing beneath this celestial dance, she witnessed how these ancient lights never truly bid farewell, but rather transformed their presence in an eternal waltz of becoming. Each phase of the moon, Each setting of the sun revealed itself not as an ending, but as a doorway into renewed expression. Through this cosmic choreography, the universe whispered its most sacred teaching. Completion is not a final destination, but a point of perpetual transformation. Within the infinite spiral of existence, nothing truly concludes. What appears as an ending simply marks the threshold of a new beginning. Your consciousness expands with each turn of this eternal wheel, gathering wisdom that deepens your understanding of life's continuous unfoldment. This truth manifests in every breath you draw, each exhalation seamlessly flowing into the next inhalation, forming an unbroken circle of life force. It shows itself in the seasons, where winter's rest nurtures spring's awakening. Even in the smallest seed lies the promise of fruit, which in turn carries new seeds, extending nature's endless chain of renewal. Janusz Fall discovered this wisdom while tending his garden. Year after year he witnessed how the final harvest of autumn held within it the first stirrings of next year's abundance. As he stood amidst his flourishing plants, a smile of recognition crossed his face. In this endless cycle of growth and return, he saw the perfect paradox of existence. Every ending carried within it the seeds of beginning. Every completion opened the door to fresh creation. Your journey through life mirrors this eternal pattern. Each achievement you reach does not mark a final destination, but rather opens your awareness to new horizons of possibility. When you align with this truth, you recognize that perfection is not a static state to be achieved, but a dynamic process of continuous renewal. The ancient practice. As the sun sets each day, stand in quiet reverence. Acknowledge each completion in your life, whether of a task, a relationship, or a chapter of experience, as a sacred point of renewal. Breathe in the understanding that nothing truly ends, but rather transforms into new expression. Welcome each conclusion with the same joy you would greet a beginning, knowing that the circle honors itself through your conscious participation in its endless dance. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. In the sacred altitude of the 33rd degree, you now stand at the threshold of ultimate recognition. Here, where seeking ends and knowing begins, the veil between student and master dissolves into pure awareness. This is not an achievement, but an awakening to what has always been. The journey that seemed to lead outward has guided you back to your own divine center. Each teaching, each practice, each moment of contemplation served not to elevate you, but to remind you of your natural state. Like a bird that forgot it could fly, you now remember your wings were never lost. Within this remembrance, the law of attraction reveals itself not as external force, but as your very essence. You are not working with universal law. You are its living expression. Every thought, feeling, and breath flows from and returns to the infinite source that you are. Gratitude no longer requires effort or practice. It becomes your natural respiration, the rhythm of your being. Prayer transforms from petition to communion, a silent song of recognition between self and source. The mysteries that once seemed complex now shine with elegant simplicity. From this sanctuary of self-knowledge, you move through life as both artist and artwork. Reality responds not to your demands, but to your resonance. The universe mirrors your inner harmony, not because you have mastered its laws, but because you have remembered your role as co-creator. This awareness brings profound peace, the serenity of knowing that you need not reach for what you already are. The eternal dance of manifestation flows through you with graceful inevitability. In this recognition, all teachings fulfill their purpose, dissolving into the silence from which they emerged. You now rest in the profound simplicity of being, the point where seeker and sought unite in endless light.
If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.